Hi, everybody. Welcome to the June 6th, 2022 meeting of the Concord School Board. I'm looking at a full room, and it's either wonderful or awful when there's a full room at a school board meeting. There's not a lot of middle ground, so this is exciting. The first thing we need to do is take attendance, so I'll have the wonderful Gina. Sure. Help us with that.
Ms. Higgins?
Here.
Mr. Cotton?
Here.
Ms. Hastings?
Here.
Ms. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Weinberg?
Here.
And I am here. So we have three members who are not able to be here, at least at this time.
At this time, correct. I'd like to send some good get well wishes to our board president, Mr. Richards. He had a knee replacement, so everyone send your healthy vibes. I'd like to say happy 30th anniversary to Brenda Hastings. Round of applause for her. And then we'll get on to the actual meeting. So the first item is approval of the agenda. So I'd like to have someone make that motion.
Yep. So moved and we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have moved by Gina, seconded by Mr. Cotton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. Okay, our next agenda item is our consent agenda, which includes regular monthly meetings, capital facilities minutes, city and community relations minutes, and instructional committee May 16th notes. The meeting didn't occur, so.
No, it did.
Oh.
And the notes are in here.
Okay, fine, got it. All right, so could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Pam, is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Brenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that passes. Okay, this is where the fun part starts, and why the masses are in the boardroom tonight. So I'll be inviting the wonderful Kathleen to sort of take it from here. We're going to look at distinguished educators and our retirees. So.
Right, it is an exciting night tonight, and we'd like to kick it off tonight with our Principal Vance. She has a distinguished educator, and he was not able to be with us at the last board meeting, and she really wanted to be able to take a moment and honor his work. So I'm going to ask Michelle to come up and do that for us.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a distinguished educator who I know just left the school just shortly ago and is going to race home to take a shower before
I won't tell anybody. Can we come back around?
So do you want to wait, and then we can do, we can...
We waited a whole month. Could we wait a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
He'll be, I'm sure he's going to scoot right in. It's probably a parking situation.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
As soon as I see him, I can get thumbs up.
Sorry, Michelle, I didn't realize that would be great.
I'll take a look around, see if he's in the parking.
And so we'll move right into the district retirees, and I think that he's here.
Okay, well, never mind then.
Well, never mind.
You're not quite retired yet.
You're not yet.
Do you want me to use it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here. Thank you.
Welcome.
Come right up. Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Hi. Wonderful. We have our Beaver Meadow School family here with us tonight. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Okay. This evening, it is my pleasure tonight to recognize Beaver Meadow School's 2022 Distinguished Educator. Characteristics that describe Beaver Meadow School's 2022 Distinguished Educator include his ability to seamlessly connect with both adults and students, an unabated enthusiasm coupled with unrelenting patience and a student-centeredness that is reflected in his compassion and transformational leadership style. Always reflective and collaborative, Mr. Parsons embodies the ideals of Beaver Meadow School that are seeped in unity, diversity, and peace. A selfless role model and wellness leader whose actions influence and inspire those around him to make choices that are healthy for their minds, their souls, their bodies. Kevin exemplifies the essence of a gifted educator. Since Mr. Parsons joined our school team 4 years ago, the profound impact that he has made in our school district and state can only be described as distinguished. Beyond his many duties here at Beaver Meadow School, Kevin is thoroughly engaged in the community at large. As current Vice President of Physical Education for the New Hampshire Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, he is a liaison with other professionals in and around New England to speak about health and wellness issues, topics that are simply indispensable during the pandemic. Having diligently coached the Runlet Girls Middle School team for the past 3 years, and presently this year did the same for the Concord High School boys tennis team. When we were fully remote, Mr. Parsons wanted to stay as connected as humanly possible with his students. He created videos for students that taught them how to play games, do activities, and daily workouts at home. He collaborated with colleagues so students could see numerous spotlights of our staff members and Hazel, our therapy dog. Students, staff, and parents looked forward to his videos each and every week. These videos became the rage at Beaver Meadow School, and some of them received over 1,000 hits. When we moved into a hybrid model, students were taught outside, and lifelong memories of playing kickball with umbrellas became reality. The time spent creating and sharing the timeless video speaks to Kevin's desire to engage with the community to the fullest extent possible. Since we have returned to in-person learning, Mr. Parsons has been the coordinator of numerous after-school programs, and last summer he oversaw 2 different camps that serviced over 50 students. As we all know, the pandemic has really impacted mental wellness. Mr. Parsons targets these concerns by working closely with our Title I summer coordinator to provide social and emotional learning and mindfulness activities that focus on body and mind wellness. Mr. Parsons goes above and beyond to build positive, respectful, and goal-focused relationships with students. Students know that Mr. Parsons cares and comes to school every day to help them work towards their individual achievements. A difference in students' confidence to take risks and to learn and grow from their mistakes has been witnessed by myself and his colleagues. This is directly connected to how Mr. Parsons designs his lessons and embeds social and emotional components that build students' self-esteem and acceptance that everyone is learning something new each and every day. Students compliment one another and they show good sportsmanship by shaking hands after a game. Pure joy is witnessed when Mr. Parsons is teaching and students are learning, playing, and having fun together. He has added physical education ambassadors to our leadership opportunities for our 5th grade students. Our 5th grade ambassadors are thriving and developing relationships with students as they help them in the unified class that they might never have connected with in their own class. Making sure that every student's individual needs are being met is a top priority for Mr. Parsons. On top of teaching 18 grade level classes, he has also provided our district's emotional behavioral disturbance program with adapted physical education. He's advocated for students in the EBD program to have their own PE class weekly and ensures that all of the activities allow students to practice teamwork and social skills. When students in the program attend physical education with their general education classrooms, Mr. Parsons has spoken with their special education team and any other assistants to make sure the transition experience is successful. His commitment to Beaver Meadow School is boundless, as our previous PTO president shared this quote with me. Kevin is always willing to go above and beyond to help in any way that he can. As a member of the PTO, we always know that we can count on him to help at any event. He has been our DJ at our dances. He's also made sure to join the students for the ski club and enjoyed time on the slopes with all the students. His compassion and attitude makes all the kids' time in physical education special. He's always looking for ways to improve the quality of a student's life. He has been part of the team that has taken on the responsibility for leading school-wide events that include our monthly all-school meetings, winter carnival, turkey trot, field day, walkathon, and the color run. His endless energy and joyful participation in all of these activities is a thing to behold. Mr. Parsons holds himself and his students to high standards and expectations. He provides students with learning environments that are student-centered and personalized to meet their individual needs. His intentional actions and support set students up for lifelong success. I'd like to end with a few quotes from parents, staff, and students. He has made amazing connections with the students, and you can see the excitement in the students' faces when they see them. Mr. Parson is the reason that physical education is so special. Without Mr. Parsons, I would never be able to catch a Frisbee. I will always remember skiing with Mr. Parsons during the Beaver Meadow School ski program. When Mr. Parsons first came to this school, I was nervous for the change, but that first day was like he had always been there. He teaches us every sport, not just the ones that he likes. For example, we get to play field hockey and lacrosse, and he makes games fun for kids. Mr. Parsons is always willing to try new things, and he has lots and lots and lots and lots of patience. He deserves to have this award. When I feel sad, Mr. Parsons is always there for me. Sometimes we run into each other outside of school, and he always says hello to me and my family, and that makes me happy. Mr. Parson always makes learning fun. Educators often have an unseen influence on the children that they teach and they work with. I'm not sure if Kevin realizes how far his influence actually goes. He has attended many games that my children have played over the years, and he always makes sure to tell them that he saw them play and give them some specifics. These comments capture a glimpse of our distinguished educator, who remains a humble yet gifted educator who deserves to be recognized for all that he brings to our students and our adult community at Beaver Meadow School. We are a better school because of you, Kevin.
I enjoyed watching your gym class.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, one is it?
So can I go? So I think our next group is obviously tonight is special. It's recognizing our retirees, and so I would like to start, if I could, with the team from the high school. It's a interesting night for them. They've all split up. Their principal is up at awards night, and so joining us is Kylene and Tim to give out the awards for the retirees. So you want to step up and. Yeah, we'll do that.
Hi, everybody. We have quite a few retirees for the high school. And so we are going to start with Elaine Lamond. Elaine Lamond has been a truly dedicated program assistant in Concord High School's advanced program. She has done it all. Elaine is well known for being a wonderful support for any students taking chemistry, especially. So much so that we really should consider providing her with an honorary certification in that area prior to retirement. Her wonderful rapport with students provides exactly what they need to be able to attend to academics, even though they may be facing some emotional or social barriers along the way. Elaine will be missed by all. The students and the staff with whom she has worked so closely with will miss her terribly, but will always feel lucky to have had her as a member of their team. Congratulations, Elaine Lamond.
Know that in true pandemic style, aisle, our clocks have not all arrived yet. They try to tell you that there's a delay in every aspect of it, but this is what each of our retirees will get this evening. They're being shipped as we speak.
Next, we have Lynn Garvey. Lynn Garvey has served students in the advanced program as an educational assistant for the past 20 years and has seen several iterations of that program. Her unwavering commitment to students has been a constant throughout her tenure. Her pragmatic yet gentle approach has been the key to her ability to reach our most disenfranchised students. These students come to know her as someone they can trust and rely upon. Her relationships with some students extend beyond their high school careers as she continues in some instances to maintain authentic and supportive relationships. On the toughest days, those who have worked closest with her would probably be able to reflect on an incredible amount of laughs and silliness with her colleagues that have gotten them all through. Lynn may be a small in stature person, but she is leaving some big shoes to fill. Still, we are certain that we will continue to cross paths as she is bound to continue to serve youth in some capacity. Congratulations, Lynn Garvey. The next one, and she is not here, I believe, this evening, is Lise Blaze, French teacher at Concord High School, but I will read a few notes on her behalf. Lise Blaze, on behalf of the Concord High School World Language Department and Greater Concord High School community, we would like to congratulate Mrs. Lise Blaze on her retirement from the Concord School District. Ms. Blaze began her career in the Concord School District in 1987 when she was hired by Runlet Junior High School, then Principal Chris Rath, as a world language teacher. During her tenure in the district, Ms. Blaze has taught a variety of language courses, including French, Latin, American Sign Language, and also holds an ELL certification. Her 35 years as a teacher in Concord and 40-plus years of teaching in total have left an indelible mark on our community. She is going to be impossible to replace, and we wish her luck as she begins the next chapter in her life. Thank you, Lise Blaze, for your years of service. And the last one that I have this evening is for a colleague of mine. I am honored to speak about Diane Watson, and she is also not here this evening. Diane has been a member of the CHS English department since September of 1990. She is completing her 31st year at Concord High School this year. Diane began as an English teacher at a time when English teacher success was measured by the number of novels or publications one might have produced, or by one's ability to not only recite Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, but to recite it in Middle English. While these feats were honorable, Diane Watson was a newer English teacher who recognized English content was not more important than understanding adolescent behavior and needs. Diane could and can cite every underpinning of transcendentalism, but more importantly, she cares for every student who comes through her door. She is attuned to their emotional and academic needs, a balanced approach. She has embraced fully every transition we have made pedagogically to fully support the increasing social and behavioral needs of students. She has been a true professional colleague and mentor. Diane Watson will be incredibly difficult to replace. Congratulations, Diane Watson.
All right, good evening. I would like to recognize on behalf of the Concord High School Social Studies Department, Fatma Shikta. She came to the Concord High School Social Studies Department in 2002 after a brief career in teaching at the college level. Few people know because she's very humble that she has a doctorate in economics. Anyone who's had the privilege of working with Ms. Shikta can attest to her dedication to her students and her ability to make a rigorous content accessible and engaging to all students. From the moment she arrived at Concord High School, she played a pivotal role in changing and revitalizing the economics curriculum and has been an in-house expert for the course. While most people think of economics as simply made up of the stock market and industry, Ms. Shikta takes the content to such a deeper level and shows students that economics truly touches everything we do. She makes it fun and has a great sense of humor. We wish her the best of luck and hope she finds lots of time to read, travel, enjoy the next phase of her life. Thank you for your dedication to your students, Ms. Shikta. The next person I want to recognize on behalf of the school counseling department is Karen Slick. All right, and most of us know Karen as a school counselor, but she is so much more at Concord High School. First, since 1987, she was employed by the school district, originally at Runlet Middle School before making the transition to Concord High School. She has no doubt in the past almost 40 years of her career had a pivotal role in the lives of the youth and many of us in this room today. She started 30 plus years at Concord High School and has been a fundamental building block for so many students, parents, and staff. From college decisions, emotional supports, and good times and in bad, she has been a constant person who will celebrate your success and lend a shoulder to console you during difficult times. In addition, she has worked with her fellow counselor to take on social-emotional needs of our students. This includes lessons in the classroom on mindfulness, personal wellness, taking part in MTSSB systems of supports, leading the charge on the restorative leadership team. She has been committed in these efforts around students' well-being and has not let up one bit in her final weeks at the school. Karen, you'll be greatly missed. Your presence, the aura you bring to a room, you have no doubt been a fundamental building block in the lives of so many people. Thank you for your tireless dedication to the Concord community, and congratulations on your well-earned retirement. The next person I have to recognize is Anna Marie DiPasquale. On behalf of the EL department at Concord High School, it is a great pleasure that I have the honor of recognizing you tonight. Friend and colleague for years of service at the Concord School District, anyone who knows Anna Marie is familiar with her larger-than-life personality and unwavering energy she brings into everything she does. Whether it's working with Be the Change Club, National Honor Society, or meeting with families in the community, Anna Marie has always been truly committed member of the Concord High School faculty. She always celebrates those around her and highlights others' success, whether it's a colleague, student, or community member. Anna Marie has spent so much of her life advocating for the marginalized populations of society. She's worked in cities such as Chicago, Washington, D.C., and fortunately for us, here in Concord. Each step of the way, she's been a champion for the underdog in the Concord community. She has been an advocate for students and families whose voices often go unheard due to language and socioeconomic barriers. She works tirelessly to ensure our families have the community support they need. Anna Marie, you'll be greatly missed next year. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement.
We have one more. John Hubbard's not here with us tonight, but I sort of wrote his like-up Wordle. 5 quick things here. John Hubbard, 21 years in Concord. He's a real gentleman. You can ask a lot of people at Concord High when they need something, they go to John Hubbard. It's probably one of the reasons he's leaving, to be honest with you. John's program migrated from a construction tech program, which was stick building and building houses, to a program called construction trades, which is really getting kids exposed to electrical and plumbing and masonry. And the program's enrollment went up 2.5 times after that move. To get there, John Hubbard, in his about age 60 or so, give or take, started taking courses, and he was 3 times the age of most of the kids in the course. But he learned how to do these things and brought it to his classroom. And one of the coolest things about being a CRTC, and I'll wrap up on this note, teacher, is you can go around Concord and go to job sites and go to contractors and go to plumbing sites and go to electrical sites, and you see? John Hubbard's graduates everywhere you go. So, great guy, and he's earned his 21 years, and we wish him well.
So could we invite Paulette Fitzgerald up to do the folks from Runlet?
Okay, I'd like to start with Sharon Gallagher. Sharon, could you come on up? Sharon has been with the Concord School District for 22 years, 11 of which have been at Rundlet Middle School. She's done amazing work to support students who have significant learning needs. She is an advocate for her kids. She will do whatever she can to remove barriers to their learning. She's calm, kind, caring. Once Sharon starts working with a student, they become more confident and their behaviors improve. Sharon has a wry sense of humor and seems to enjoy the middle school way of life. We will miss Sharon greatly. We will miss her wisdom, collaborative nature, and her passion for helping students. Sharon, we wish you all the best, and we hope that you enjoy your retirement. Next, Diane Barlow. Diane started teaching at Rundlet Middle School in 2004. That's what I was able to find. She has seen many changes and she has had different positions within the math department, but regardless of her teaching assignment, one thing is always true. Mrs. Barlow cares about her students and how well they are learning math. Diane has always gone above and beyond outside of the classroom as well. Whether it's arranging the annual holiday regifting program or being on the building safety committee, Diane is always willing to pitch in. Oh, PTO rep too, I just thought of that. She has also served as a curriculum leader for our math department. Diane has a way of observing what is happening and figuring out unique ways to make it better, whatever it is. At the start of remote learning, Diane initially underestimated her technology skills, and she collaborated with colleagues, and in the end, she rocked it. So as Diane prepares to head into her retirement, we want to thank her for her many years of service, her wisdom, and her sense of humor. We thank her on behalf of the many students to whom she has taught fractions and irrational numbers and algebra. And finally, because she is now a whiz at technology, we know that she will know how to keep in touch. Good luck, Diane.
So we'll start with our elementary folks, and Susan, would you like to start?
Broken Ground has two educational assistants who are leaving us. Neither of them came tonight. They're a little on the shy side, but I'm still going to read and recognize them. The first is Bernadette Kinnear, and she's been at Broken Ground for 15 years. She's the consummate professional with an amazing work ethic and dedication to Broken Ground. She arrives each morning very early before 7 to get her steps in before the day starts. Bernadette is caring and compassionate in supporting students. She has a great sense of humor and is always finding ways to support the teachers and staff each and every day. She's a wonderful listener, whose family is at her heart and soul. Bernadette, we're going to miss you very much at Broken Ground, but we know that this next chapter will give you lots more time for those two granddaughters who are so special to you. Now, our second person is Rebecca Sims, and she's been with us for 25 years. She started in other schools and then came to Broken Ground. Becky has a bright smile and a warm greeting each day. She has a great sense of humor and quick wit. She's one of those amazing people who takes the time to care for others when it's in their time of need. She's an amazing seamstress and quilter and makes beautiful gifts. Becky's so committed to her students that she supports them and is so exceedingly patient with them day after day. We always can pick that perfect student for her each year. We'll miss you definitely, Becky, but Broken Ground knows that your sweet grandchildren, who you're hoping to see more of, will be the beneficiary of your extra time.
And Katie Scotty from Millbrook.
We also have two people retiring, and they are not here, but I will share a few words about them. Pat Steiner has dedicated 38 years to working with the students of the Concord School District. She began working at Rumford School in 1984, then worked with the Functional Skills Program, and then at the preschool at Eastman before she landed at Dame School in 1997. At Dame School, she began her work as the Student Support Program Assistant, which she continues today at Millbrook School. Pat has touched the lives of so many children and staff members over the past almost 4 decades. She is caring, empathetic, supportive, and we will miss her very much. We wish you all the best in this next stage of life. And our next retiree is Janet Corkum. Janet Corkum began her work in Concord 30 years ago as a program assistant at Beaver Meadow School. She worked there for 8 years before she went back to nursing school to complete her degree. While getting her degree, she continued to work part-time at Dame School. Janet left the school district and spent some time working at Concord Hospital, but came back to work for the community she cares so much about in 2009. She has been the school nurse at Dame and Millbrook School ever since. From major illnesses and injuries to small cuts and bruises, Janet has dried many tears over the years and cared for so many students. She will be greatly missed at Millbrook School. We hope the next years are filled with lots of time for family, friends, and fun. We wish you all the best.
Mrs. Vance, you want to come on up and talk to us about our Beaver Meadow retirees?
A little bit shorter this time.
Yeah, a little bit shorter.
I hadn't seen the agenda. I thought it was going to be after, sorry. We are going to miss these lovely 3 ladies that I'd like to just speak briefly about. Deborah Snow Major is not here this evening, but Deborah Snow Major began working in Concord in 2008. She joined the Beaver Meadow School team in 2012. This September, Debbie is looking forward to being a stay-at-home grandmother and witnessing her granddaughter's first day at preschool. One moment that will always remain in her heart is during her very first year at Beaver Meadow School, and she is a speech-language pathologist, when she introduced the Alternative Augmentative Communication Voice Output program to a 4th grade student who has autism. It will remain in her heart forever as she watched this student was able to truly communicate for the very first time. Debbie, we wish you all of the best, and you will be missed at Beaver Meadow School. Wanda Denoncourt. Wanda Denoncourt has been a member of the Concord School District for 39 years. Of those 39 years, she has spent 37 years in preschool as a speech-language pathologist. In September, she is looking forward to spending time with her first grandchild, a little girl who is due to join their family at the end of July. A memory that stands out for her is the morning during remote learning, when our preschool families drove up to the school to pick up their learning packets, and much of the preschool staff were standing outside of the school to greet them. What a wonderful thing it was to see those sweet little faces beaming out of the car windows after not having seen them except for on the computer screens for several months. We are grateful and will miss you. Audrey Knapp. Audrey Knapp started at Beaver Meadow School in the fall of 2011 and started in the district in 1996, 26 years ago, part-time in preschool. She added the elementary school to her role, first at Walker School and then at Krista McAuliffe School approximately 20 years ago. She is looking forward to traveling with her lovely husband, visiting her children more often, and spending time cycling, running, swimming, dancing, and sleeping late in retirement. She's going to miss the amazing students and families that she has had the privilege of working with, as well as the wonderful educators who give their all to the children each and every day. You will be greatly missed, and we are very grateful that we've had this time with you.
And last but not least, Christella, principal at Crystal College.
Altruistic, intelligent, collaborative, and thoughtful. I only begin to describe Heidi Fife. After teaching in the elementary classroom for 17 years, Heidi became a district literacy leader for 2 years after completing reading recovery training. She then transitioned into the role of reading specialist for the next 20 years, with the last decade at CMS. Heidi has been an outstanding mentor to the entire CMS staff, but mostly to me, leading us in important conversations about literacy resources and most effective approaches to reading and writing at the elementary level. Heidi is highly involved in the larger community. She shops and provides clothing to families in need, and she has volunteered her time in local shelters. Heidi has certainly changed the lives of many kids and families, and she has changed mine as well. Congratulations, Heidi, on a long and distinguished career in the Concord School District. I will miss you.
So I'm filling in, I guess, for Anthony Lynn over at Abbott Downing. And so that's a surprise, but I've been doing some filling in these last couple of weeks. I spent a week at Runlet Middle School. Let me tell you something. I think I'd rather be here. But I'm going to fill in for Anthony because we want to acknowledge Carol Bay Conti. Is Carol here? Come on up, Carol. I don't have all the good things to say about you because I don't have the speech in front of me, but you know, the 23 years of working in the district and devoting that amount of time in elementary school, I know what that's like, having been an elementary teacher. So kudos to you and thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate it. Thank you. Janet Moffett, I'm not sure, is Janet's here. So according to my notes, 25 years, right, awesome, as a school nurse at Abbott Downing, and have you been in other schools? You must have been. No. All Abbott Downing. Conant Abbott Downing, okay, so you're going to fill in the blanks for me. Thank you very much. Can you only imagine what it's like being a school nurse for that long and talking with and seeing the kids every day? And, you know, we always say in our business that there are frequent flyers. And you say, well, they just want to get out of class. But, you know, it isn't just about getting out of class. It's about interacting with the school nurses. And kids, they gravitate to people who they know that care about them and take care of them, whether it's a special Band-Aid or I know that most of them don't like the dreaded call home because then they have to go home if they're not feeling well. But I think the parents don't like the call home more than the kids. What do you think? The kids like it too. But anyway, thank you so much for your work at Abbott Downing. We appreciate it. And Pat Morrill's here, I think. I know she is. So 36 years as a speech and language. Look at it, Abbott Downing goes 23, 25, and 36. Did you win the prize tonight? You did. And you know, last week, was a month ago, you were with us because Pat was awarded the Distinguished Educator at Abbott Downing for the 2022 school year. So you have left a long legacy at Abbott Downing, and I know that everyone appreciates the work you've done. So congratulations and good luck on your retirement. Thanks. So Terry, do you want to step up and talk about some of our retirees from the bus?
Thank you very much. I have two. Come on up, Catherine. Sorry, I'll introduce her as she likes to be called Catherine Ela, Special Needs Transportation Supervisor. Catherine came to work for the district in July 2010. She jumped right into an industry that was new to her. Successes came quickly because she is a strong leader, is organized, and has a great work ethic. A year later, the district was desperate to save money, and she was temporarily laid off. Undeterred, she drove a big bus until our situation restabilized, and she was reinstated to her job as a supervisor in December 2011. With an MBA in her portfolio, she could have made other choices, but somehow she knew this was her calling. Catherine is always kind, caring, and competent. She always leads with her heart and starts every encounter and conversation with optimism. Her philosophy is that somehow, together, we will find a way to produce the best outcome possible. In the world of transporting children with disabilities, such a positive approach is invaluable. Catherine is a staunch believer in fairness and truth. That is why she is so good at fielding complaint issues. The complainant may be wrong. The parent may be unreasonable. The driver may be having a bad day. In every case, Catherine listens, hears, and responds with understanding. Anyone can be patronizing or make false promises. Catherine does not make everybody happy, but she does make most people satisfied that they are heard, respected, and an effort will be made to improve the future. Finally, and I hope I don't tear up here, working in a small office with someone for more than 10 years means you experience a bit of life together. There were many happy, sad, and even tragic moments. It was comforting to know that Catherine was always there to share with and support us all. I've written most of this recognition in the present tense, first because she still has a couple of weeks left in her contract, and I need her full effort. But seriously, it's going to be very difficult to consider her someone from the past. Thanks for a job well done, Catherine. Got one more. So Warren Cutting Jr., a.k.a. Ed. He's a big bus driver, and he currently drives Bus 8. He's sorry he can't be here tonight. It's not that he had anything more important to do, but he's a modest man and not terribly comfortable being the center of attention. That, and coming out this late, would put him past his bedtime. Seriously. I met Ed in early 2009, a few months after I started as the Director of Transportation. At the time, I was looking to hire bus drivers. I needed to find special people to operate $100,000 vehicles and transport totally priceless riders. He was my first hire. He had awesome references. 14 years as a CEO of an insurance company and 26 years in management of Blue Cross Blue Shield. They said he was excellent in every category on the form. Matter of fact, they took one of the reference letters and made a copy of it, and 2 people responded because they both wanted to chime in on Ed. He doesn't know it, but I consider him the gold standard of drivers. Other drivers would be measured against his example. However, recently health issues have slowed him down a bit, and he understands his own limits. He is stepping down at the right time. Ed is kind, caring gentleman. I've never gotten a single complaint about him having a bad day and taking it out on the kids. He's the kind of employee you forget about because he gets the job done without incident every day. It's been an honor and privilege to know Ed. Thank you for your service.
And Mr. Dunn is going to do the retirees from the central office.
I'll first start with Carrie Kellogg because she is not here. Kerry started with the district in October 2001 in the business office. Kerry was responsible for accounts payable, accounts receivable, the Concord Trust grants, but Kerry retired in October 2001 with 20 years of service. We'll start first with Mr. Prince. Come on down, you're the next contestant. Well, I know what they called you your first week on the job. So Larry started with the district in July of 2008 as the first human resources director. He was instrumental in forming many of the policies, agreements, and processes in place today. Larry retired in January of 22 with 14 years of service. So, that's correct. That is. Shirley Hamlin. That's you. Shirley started with the district in June 2006 in the business office. Shirley was responsible for accounts payable, the procurement card, expediting checks, managing big dollar lotteries, and the Sunshine Fund. Shirley retired in April 2022 with 16 years experience.
Yes, we did. Yes, I did.
Betsy Coons. Betsy started with the district in October 2001 in human resources. In 2005, Betsy became the human resource manager and was responsible for developing the salary and benefits budget as well as issuing employee contracts, among many other things. Betsy retired in December 2021 with 20 years of service. Okay, that's the central office staff. Now it was somebody had to draw straws to figure out what to say for Steve Rothenberg. Nobody had any. Steve started with the district in September 1994. He graduated from UMass Amherst with a bachelor's degree in business and from Lesley College with a master's in elementary ed. He held various positions in the district, including elementary teacher at Walker School, technology literacy coordinator, assistant principal, and most recently the CRTC director. Steve retires at the end of the month with 28 years of service.
Madam Chair, I think that's it.
Wow, that was well done. My good friend Gina here has some statistic to share.
I just want people to look around the room for a second and acknowledge the people that are retiring. As much as we wish you all the best in your future endeavors, I am terribly sad that we are losing over 170 cumulative years of experience. The district will be the poorer for that loss as we try our best to try and fill some enormous shoes. So I appreciate that you're all retiring. A lot of you are spending time with your kids, your grandkids, but I don't know how we replace 170 years. So thank you all for your service.
We'll take a brief recess and give our retirees and their families a chance to grab a piece of cake and move on out.
That's the boring part of the meeting.
delicious. All right, we are back, ready to continue the business of the board meeting. That was a really wonderful, wonderful reception. It's fun to see people move along in their lives. So what comes next is the student representatives report. So we go from the people that have been around for the longest leaving to the future here. So is that, she's good to go next, Kathleen?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Good evening, members and community members. This is our last month reporting for the 2021-2022 school year. I look forward to giving my last report. The week of May 23rd, the school held its annual 8th grade tours, which allowed students to get a feel for the school before transitioning. During this week, the 8th grade parent night was also held. This gave upcoming high school parents an insight into the curriculum CHS has to offer, the grading system, other programs, and most importantly, they got to tour the school where their child will be for the next 4 years. At the end of May, on Friday the 27th, was Spring Fling. This was a day-long event held at Memorial Field. This is a new tradition that combines events from Winter Carnival, such as club tables and games that typically occur earlier in the year. In typical Winter Carnival fashion, each grade got a period to go down and enjoy the festivities, and many students also volunteer their time to help run games and club fundraisers. Students were also able to get their yearbook and do signings. The same day, the Be the Change Club held its annual International Night, where food, music, dance, and culture were shared with the rest of the Concord community. CHS senior news includes the last day will be June 10th, and underclassmen will get out on the 17th. This gives them an additional week for remediation and enrichment. Prom will be on the 16th, and graduation will take place the 18th. Regarding the 1,000 Tree Project, friend Grace and I have picked our tree, a serviceberry, as well as our pollinators. We're currently working on outlining our spot to dig. Mr. Cashman and Mr. Rudin have been very helpful with this project, and I would like to extend my thanks to them, as well as those who donated to this project. It is always nice to see the community work together to create something beautiful. We will hopefully plant the tree sometime in June, and we have decided to hold off on planting the flowers as their planting season has passed. I'm excited to know that even though this project is not over, I have 2 great people to continue this project next year. I would also like to take this time to thank everyone on the board. I have truly enjoyed my time as a student representative for the past 2 years. This opportunity has allowed me to explore possible career interests and helped me further my understanding of what it is like to be a leader. I look forward to seeing how the system continues to grow.
Thank you, Janita. You've done a wonderful job. It's been really fun. I remember Janita when she was this big, and just arriving and being with her family. Her mother and I were roommates like 100 years ago. So it's been fun to watch you turn into such an amazing young person. So good luck.
So I think it's appropriate for me to take a moment on behalf of you and the board to acknowledge Janita and the 2 years that she's been with us. I mean, it's so great and I love having the students on the board. I know you have appreciated it, but we hear from them every month. We hear about the activities, the events at school, and honestly, when there's policy issues that come up, I'm happy that they share their thinking around how you should think about policy and the way it affects students. So for her to spend 2 years with us every month for many hours, I might add, some nights longer than others, and knowing that she probably had homework or something that she had to attend to in the morning, I felt bad, but she always hung in with us and was a great representation of Concord High School. So I personally want to thank her. I admire her. I admire that as a young person, she can speak her thoughts and share them with adults and be very confident about what she does. So I wish her luck. You've told me where you're going to school next year. Where are you going?
I'm going to go to Connecticut College, and I'm going to study botany.
Awesome. So congratulations. I have a little something for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.
So I can't forget some of our other folks. They're not with us, but we also have a little something for them. And I want to thank Finn, who will be back with us next year, Finn Brown. He's at awards nights tonight up at the high school, so he could not be with us. But like Janita, he shares their activities and events and his thinking. And just last week, I had a chance to see Finn. He presented at the Belmont Memorial Day celebration. It was on NPR, and it was something that he had written in his English class with Mrs. Crumine in her class in the book that they wrote. And it was phenomenal, and NPR picked it up, and so congratulations to Finn, and we appreciate it, and we have something for him, and I'll catch up with him at some point. I'll find him up at the high school. We also want to thank Chris Renaud. Chris has been here for a long time doing all of our video taping, our recording of all of the school board meetings. That includes budget meetings, that includes committee meetings, and I don't have to tell you folks how often that is. And he has been here. He's reliable and does his job and is able to troubleshoot when we have problems. I think he's even helped you a few times, Jack. And he's just been a great addition. Chris is graduating this year and going to Carnegie Mellon to study music. And if you had a chance to see him in the play once at the high school, of course they were all fabulous, but it was really even more meaningful to me since I knew Chris and got a chance to talk to him here at the board meetings. But just another wonderful example of the students at Concord High School. So we have something for Chris too. And I can't forget his dad, because on occasions when Chris had a musical or an event at the high school, he couldn't be here. His dad, Mark, came in, sat in, took care of him. I hope he didn't complain about the hourly rate of wages, but we can talk about that later. Mark came in and covered for Chris when he had some event at the high school. So big thanks to both Dad and Tucson for their work here in the district. So
Thank you, Kathleen.
I just have a couple of things because I know you have a busy night tonight. So just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. And first is that I am really pleased to announce that the Concord District and the CEA, which is the Teachers Association, came to a tentative agreement on Wednesday evening. After a little bit of a long session, but deliberations that resulted in a 4-year contract with the teachers. And for me, as a superintendent, what this says to me is that we continue to support our professional staff and making sure that we retain our teachers. We also know that by having a good contract, we also attract new teachers because, as you saw tonight, we had a number of people retiring. And as Gina so eloquently said, we have to fill those shoes, right? So we're right now in the process of doing that. So by having a good contract, we attract really bright young people who want to come to Concord and work. So I was very pleased. I think we both parties are now have the task at hand will be for them to meet with their membership group, and they will hold a ratification meeting. Once they complete that, then the board will have a chance to go through all of the aspects of the contract, and you too have an opportunity to vote on that contract before it's finalized. But I think you will be pleased with the result. I know I am. I'm very appreciative of the team that represented the district sitting next to me. Jack Dunn, of course, just ran all the numbers all the time for us, which was really helpful. Michelle Guerin, our HR director, who also helped us. Sue Losey was our building principal representative on the team. And Larry Prince came back and stayed with us because he knew the process, so it was a great resource for Michelle, and we had a terrific team. You had a chance last week to meet with Kathleen Peel, who helped us from a legal point of view, but we had a terrific team, and I'm very, very happy with it. So we'll hear more about that.
One quick comment just on the whole process. So Brenda and I have sat on both sides of the
negotiations process as educators in the district and now as board members. And it's long and tedious, tons of extra hours, important work, but oftentimes, you hear the negative parts because it's exhausting and tiring. And both sides of this, both the CEA and the CSD people spend a lot of time working this out. So it's nice, it's as someone that sat on both sides of that fence, it's nice to know that it's come to some sort of agreement. I just want to acknowledge the hours that go into that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the other document that's in your folder tonight, and my intent tonight was not to spend a lot of time on the draft strategic plan, but to just try to walk through some highlights for you so that, we're going to come back with you, probably the July meeting, but I just want to ask you to take some time. We've been working on that. I want to thank board members Bob Cotton and Brenda Hastings who have been sitting on this committee. John Fabrizio has been on it, Mary Wilson, myself. What did I forget, John? Katie Scapati, our principal representative, as we took Pam McLeod, right? Pam McLeod. I was looking at Pam. Pam was at that. Yeah, Pam wasn't at that. And the team really went through all of the data that we collected. Remember, we had almost 20 focus groups throughout the winter months, meeting with parents and teachers and staff and community folks and administrators throughout the district. Students, I took the chance to meet with all the students at every school. It was fabulous feedback from our students. And so we took all of that data and tried to find areas where there was a common theme that ran through the feedback that we got. So if you look in your packet tonight, you'll see that we have isolated 6 goals that really we received a lot of feedback on. They were on safety, which is very apropos for this time. Communication, which has been a priority for you as a board, right? School facilities, I think we actually have some people here to join us tonight to talk about school facilities later on in the meeting, and as you know, we've been working hard on that. It isn't just the middle school project, though. It's about all of our school facilities. We will also look at the multiple tier systems of support. That's all around the work that we're doing around social emotional learning and supporting kids academically as well as social and emotional learning. Curriculum, which is the foundation of our work, right? So that's what we use to provide the teaching and the learning that happens every day in our schools. And the 6th goal was around diversity and equity. And I think we've heard a little bit about that. Today we had a meeting with Anna Marie DiPasquale, who shared her thinking around some of the work we are doing. Tomorrow morning, we have interviews with 5 applicants who have sent in applications for the diversity position in the district. So we are working on that as we speak. But those were the 6 areas that people wanted us to focus on. And remember, your plan is for the next 3 to 5 years. So please take some time, review it. We're going to be asking you to help us extend those goals to, if in your packet on page 32, you'll see a little matrix, and we're going to use that matrix. So every goal will have objectives, and we'll be following an action plan. How do we measure that action? Time frames, outcomes, who's going to be responsible for those activities that we want to conduct, and by the way, the most important thing, what's the results? So I think we'll have that tool for you to be able to use over the next 3 to 5 years.
Wonderful. That sounds like, and also another example of hours and hours of hard work.
Yeah, it's been great though. It's been good work, and we'd hope to get to you a little bit earlier, but with just pandemic and COVID and trying to keep ahead of it, we were a little bit delayed in trying to get our groups together.
So this is something that we should put on the agenda for the July meeting?
For the July meeting,
and spend
right.
time on it.
Right.
Okay,
So if you would do that, that would
Does
be
anyone
great.
have any questions or comments before we go along?
Actually, I have 2 questions, not directly related for Kathleen. One is on safety, I think, is the follow-up on the recommendations on school safety officer and what our plan, we were going to do some more looking at the training for safety coaches.
Right. We have applicants from AmeriCorps that have applied for the job. It happened right after the colleges had graduations. We saw an increase in the people that were interested. So they do the training for us with that. But of course, we need to be involved so that they understand our system. But there were recommendations from the Discipline Review Committee. Is that the committee you were talking
Yeah.
about? So those will be embedded into your strategic plan.
Okay.
Because there were things that, in those recommendations that we haven't done yet. You can't do it all in 1 year, but something that we want to address. The other, just as a point of reference, I had a chance to talk to Chief Osgood actually this morning, and we talk pretty frequently, and I have another meeting with him. I meet with him pretty regularly, and so we would like to be able to discuss safety issues with you in July, and we have a date. I actually put a tentative date in when we get to calendar tonight. Maybe we could talk about that. Chief Osgood would like to join you in those deliberations.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, and we'll go over, Matthew has also been, I asked Matt to prepare all of the protocols and safety measures that we take regularly in the district to be able to update you. Now, some of that will have to be in non-public, and the reason for that, I think most people realize that you can't advertise how you deal with these things and then expect to be able to make sure your students are safe. So, but we will be doing that in July because it's an important topic.
And my second question, we had talked in the fall or summer as we were updating the volunteer policy about the district acquiring a fingerprinting machine. I've heard from several parents whose clearances have disappeared from the system and they've had to go, one was running the ski program and then came spring and was no longer a cleared volunteer. So I don't know if we're having system issues, but I did want to circle back to that machine. People are driving to Tamworth and Dover to get fingerprints.
Right, and then we found today that the state police are really backed up.
Yep.
So even with the parents that are wanting to do things like field trips, and they haven't been fingerprinted because they haven't been active for over a year, then we have to re-fingerprint them. So Jack did look at the machine, to have a machine here, but then there's still a problem with transmitting those fingerprints to the state police. So they were trying to work that out. Superintendents had a meeting on that. So it's still kind of hasn't been resolved, Pam.
So when I asked about this, Jack told me that it was the cost of the machine. What was the machine's cost? I mean, the district used to do...
10 grand for the machine.
Okay. I mean, the district used to do this in-house. I mean, I did it at the district office, so...
There were two issues with that. Not only was the cost, but it was a delay in getting it. I mean, there was a 6-month delay in terms of getting that machine. So we need to talk about that because there's such a tremendous delay most people go down to the state police office down off of Loudon Road. So that has been problematic for us. One of the topics that we have for this summer work is around volunteer training, because we haven't done that with pandemic. We did not do volunteer training. So that's on the docket for this summer to put together a plan and a little curriculum, if you will, around the training that we would do with our volunteers, and we will also try to get this fingerprinting thing squared away. Okay, so they're on our agenda.
Would it be worthwhile to encourage parents to get fingerprinted this summer for the coming year?
I think it's always worthwhile to encourage them. I think my experience has been that people generally don't go to do it until there is something that they want to volunteer for.
Right. But if we explain that maybe there's been a slowdown in being able to get those through, that if we encourage them to do it over the summer.
I have a end of the year little letter going home. End of the year, just reminding them about lunches for next year, free and reduced, and, that all free lunches are no longer going to be available. It's going to be, next year. So that program will stop as of June 30. So I have some items that I want to share with parents. I will add that to them. And just, I think, advising them if they do have some free time in the summer and they want to scoot over to the state trooper's office to do that, I think it would be wise. But you're right, they do tend to wait, and then you got to wait for the results.
Right. Gina?
So I just want to reiterate that we appreciate our volunteers very much. There's a lot we can't do without our volunteers, but the slowdown and the delay and the lag is not up to us. That's not, we don't have any control over that. So we'd like to encourage, we want to encourage people to come and volunteer and be in our schools and see what we're doing and work with our kids, but we as a board and we as a district don't have any control over that whole delay and lag process.
And they even changed it up at the Department of Ed now. The bus drivers, Terry's not here, but all the bus drivers go through the Department of Ed now to do their fingerprinting and all that process. And then, we'll be getting that information via, I'm not sure who yet, but regarding our bus drivers, because again, they have to go through all of that. So there's been a lot of ups and downs with that whole process.
Just one further comment on Pam's issue with respect to safety, and I just want to mention also that also is covered in school facilities and possible alarms, systems, and those kind of things that I know Matt has been working on pretty carefully. So that's definitely an important and actually the first goal under school facilities as well.
I think on Friday when I sent you my weekly update, I attached a letter from the governor's office, and Governor Sununu talked about safety and reminding all of us about the appropriate actions to take and making sure that we had all the protocols in place. I felt confident that the Concord district has those things in place. But he alluded to additional infrastructure money. Now, you remember there was a $30 million worth of infrastructure money back 3 or 4 years ago that I know that Concord received over $1 million in that infrastructure money. I know the district I was in had $800,000, and it was awesome because it meant cameras and doors, security, and all of that. And so in the letter, if you take a look at it, about the third paragraph down, they alluded to the fact that there might be money to do the infrastructure again. So we're watching that carefully. I've already alerted Ellen Desmond, the grant writer, and Matt, and we'll have a meeting this week to talk. We want to be prepared if, in fact, that grant money comes through.
Kate first.
I apologize. I am not completely sure that I understand the scheduling and length of time of the summer programs that we have and which are funded by ESSER, et cetera. But I do know you were talking about the food no longer being free after June 30th, and we do have summer programs. So I'm just wondering about access to food during those programs, you're saying no, and he's saying yes. I'm so sorry.
Oh, CAP program.
Yeah.
CAP. CAP, yeah, they come in our schools.
Yeah, we have a program over the summer. It's called, I apologize, my first summer doing it, so I kind of do it, but it's called the CAP program, and they are a local community program that provides food for all of our students this summer because of our qualification for Title I and for what we're doing. We do provide meals in the summer.
So such as like in the elementary school level, if they qualified for the summer program, that's the ESSER funded one. No,
That's Title I. Title I funded.
That's
program.
Title I funded.
Yeah.
I apologize. See, it's
Nope,
hard
it's
for me
okay.
to keep track of.
There's
so
a lot of
because
grants.
Title I funded, but we do have summer programs that are ESSER funded, correct?
No, our programs are Title I funded or funded through special education, like through our operating budget.
I thought it was to address
ESY.
learning loss because of COVID, or am I misunderstanding?
See, we have Title I funds for that over the summer. It's not a misunderstanding, because I think in the past, we've done some things like that to boost it, but this summer we have sufficient Title I funding to be able to offer for all of our students, and we have those lists already generated, and we're...
And CAP is under the Title I.
Yes, CAP comes in because of the social and economical status of Title I. We're able to tap into programs in the community and use those.
Awesome.
And
Thank
Kate,
you.
by using Title I in the summer program and IDEA to run those summer programs, we're better able to keep that ESSA money flowing next year, so that when we have extra tutors we decided to keep our coaches, we decided to keep our paraprofessionals with the young kids. So by making sure that we were using all of the different grants, we were able to utilize that for a longer period of time.
And that applies to all the summer programs across the district.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you.
My last comment, and it's always, I like to end with a student story, and we went to Deerfield about a month ago to do a presentation. That's an annual thing. We meet with the Deerfield School Board, and we present the data that we have, our programs, all of the things that happen at Concord High School. As you know, our Deerfield students, about 160 students from Deerfield attend Concord High School, and so every year we do our annual report. This year we brought about a dozen students from Deerfield. They were all Deerfield students. They were fabulous. They were able to articulate all the programs from the Career and Technical Center programs to their regular programs, to their after-school programs, the drama, the music, the athletic opportunities, and the things and the very broad array of courses that they have at Concord High School. And it was fabulous. And I said, well, all the administrators were there. All the Concord administrators were there. I was there, and Jim Richards was there pre his knee surgery. And I said when we left, there was probably no need for a single administrator to be there, because our students did such a great job at articulating. And so next week, we've been deliberating with them to extend that contract. Of course, Deerfield has to vote on it at their March meeting. It will become an item on their warrant. I know you're not familiar with warrant articles, but you are, but in the same sense as a town. But they will be looking at the contract. Both Pam and Jim have been working with two of their board members to extend and have a long-term contract with Deerfield to continue to have the Deerfield kids come to our school. So we're pretty excited about that, and we think, but I have to tell you, and Janita, I think you would agree with me, the kids were fabulous. So anyway, that's the end of my report. I'm sure you've heard enough from me.
All right. Do you have something else?
I hate to go back on such a happy note, but
that's okay.
In reference to the governor's letter, obviously, I think if there are funds available for improving school security, we should do them. But speaking just for myself, I hope the legislature will do a little more than make us harden our schools even more.
Well, I would agree with you. There has been a significant surplus this year in funding at the state level, and I think it's time to not only help us with some of the security, but I would agree with you. We could use some extra funding to help us with some of the issues around social emotional learning. The kids really took a hit, and they still are. We have kids that are still get COVID. We have missed, some of our teachers have been out. Even to this day, we've, as you know, I give you that report every week. I update you on the numbers. And so every bit of that has impacted our students. So I would agree with you that there's a lot of money there, and I would hope that they would spread it out to our schools to help us to continue. The ESSA money is going to run out. We're through all of our ESSA. I think we're really down to ESSA 3, which is the last one, and that's good till 2024. But I think it would be huge for us. So if you know any legislators, you might want to tell them to. Or maybe you want to testify and share that. I think it's important.
Thank you, Kathleen. Anyone else? Jonathan?
Back on the same topic, from what I remember too, in 2018 was the infrastructure money was appropriated to schools who had infrastructure deficiencies too, and I remember the high school at that time had a lot of deficiencies. So I I'd be curious to see where that money would be appropriated as well, and what the kind of leveling of that would be as well, if it's even substantive at all.
Well, we won't know. We haven't seen any grant, and we haven't seen the application. We're into grants. I mean, we just got information about the electric buses, so we're on that. I mean, there's just so much going on, but I haven't seen that grant yet.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. It's nice to know we don't have much to do. So, next on our agenda is public comment, and this section of public comment is on agenda items only. So it would just be anything that you see here on the agenda. When the meeting is over, we have another time for public comment, and that's for any issue. So if somebody has something that they want to speak about on the agenda, now is the time. Otherwise, sit tight, and we'll try to keep the meeting interesting. So I don't see anyone coming up now. All right, thank you. All right, so now we're moving on to personnel. So we will hand the mic down. We have an extra mic over here if you're short mics.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, go ahead.
All right, first on the list, this is one. You'll notice leave of absence requests. Those are in your Google Drive for the board. There are 2 leave of absence requests from staff.
So moved.
Second.
So Pam moved that we accept the requests, seconded by Mr. Cotton. All those in favor, please?
No, it was Jonathan, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Could be.
There's a soft voice coming from the left. Seconded by Jonathan, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the motion passes 7.
Was that an extension, did I?
Aye, no.
Oh, okay. I just, I'm trying to,
Sorry, I'm having Wi-Fi issues.
okay.
Yeah, we did too initially.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. Okay, moving along then.
And next on the agenda is the administrators' confirmations. For Runlet Middle School, we have Sean White for assistant principal. And then we have Kimberly Eason for the other assistant principal position at Runlet Middle School. I have Cynthia Liska for the director of special education at Runlet Middle School. And then we have Laura Landry for the assistant principal at Abbott Downing School.
Wow, big changes at Runlet next year. Do I have a motion to approve the nominations?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, so moved by Mr. Weinberg, seconded by Mr. Cotton. Is there any discussion or questions on this? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the nominations pass. Thank you.
Next, we have the existing staff, leave of absence transfers. There's 5 pages if you want me to read all of them.
So moved.
So do we have a motion to approve the staff nominations? It's moved by Pam Walsh.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cotton. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the CEA nominations or confirmations pass.
And then I just have new teacher confirmations. I have a social studies teacher at Concord High School, Christina Shaughnessy, a new digital learning specialist at Abbott Downing, Danielle Lacko, hopefully not pronounced correctly, classroom teacher at Beaver Meadow, Danielle Brazeley, and a classroom teacher at Broken Ground School, Sarah Bankston.
All right, do I have a motion to approve these? Is there a second? Second. So moved by Mr. Cotton, seconded by Mrs. Hastings. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, those confirmations also pass.
And one spring coach nomination Felix Mensa for co-ed track supplemental coach for Concord High School.
So moved.
It's moved by Mr. Weinberg. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Hastings. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Actually, I had a question.
Okay,
Sorry.
ask away.
Isn't the season almost over?
Yeah, they started the season without a coach, though, so he was hired as.
But like, if
He
we've
was
made it this.
volunteering in the beginning.
Okay. Thank you.
So are you still on hiatus?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda. Okay, it's your turn now. We'll have communications and policy updates and policy to review and vote on, and another couple of first readings.
Okay.
So I hand the mic to you.
No, we just have second reading.
Oh, second readings, I apologize.
That's okay. So the first up is policy 435, which has bounced back and forth a couple of times because of miscommunication. So what we have now is the policy 435. It originally came for a first reading, and in fact, I think it came for a second reading, and then there was a question about it, so we sent it back to committee for revision. It came back last month. There was some confusion about it, so it went back to committee, and then it came back. So this is now the final policy that we have. There have actually been no changes in the end to the policy. It is the same policy that we had before, word for word, but some updated legal references. And so now this is the final review of the policy. No, Lyndon's telling me I'm wrong.
No legal references were added either.
Oh, okay, so nothing has changed whatsoever. I thought we updated a legal reference with the RSA. But, so nothing has changed whatsoever, and we need to approve it for just having been reviewed. So.
Okay, so we need to make a motion in a second, and then we can discuss. Is there a motion to approve the policy?
Brenda just moved.
So moved by Brenda,
Second.
second by Mr. Weinberg. Okay, discussion. Does anyone have questions? Let's start with Kate. You're the first one I see.
I apologize because I don't want to.
Brenda made the motion and it was seconded by Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm just a minute behind in taking notes.
I don't want to derail us.
Yes.
So I apologize. But I do. So I know there's a balance with policy that you're not necessarily micromanaging what people do, and there's a level of trust. But with this one in particular, I worry when I read it that it could be misused. And I think, like I am saying, that could potentially be true of a lot of policies. But this one in particular is concerning to me. I see you're confused by that.
Yes.
Can you give an example?
So this policy only refers to partisan political speech that happens during the course and hours of employment.
Yeah, but can you define that?
Oh, yeah, sorry, we've been through this a couple of times.
I know, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
So partisan means that they would be actually speaking in favor or against a particular political candidate which is prevented during the times that they are actually teaching in the classroom or doing their school employee duties. It does not cover times that the teacher would be out doing things on their own time, on the weekend, not partisan. So it has to do with during the course of their duties as an employee. And it mirrors the language required by the state statute.
So for some kind of elaboration, it wouldn't preclude someone for if the first in the nation primary was here and a presidential candidate were to come to the high school and after hours they were to have a rally or event. For example, Concord High teachers were given tickets actually to attend if they wanted to for various rallies back in 2016 when this existing policy was still instated and that was allowed. So individuals would still be allowed to do that because they would not be on working hours. So they would still be able to practice that, if that helps at all.
And I feel that this is more specific than just mentioning candidates. It's more endorsing them and endorsing them as a representative. Like Concord School District says, vote for Mr. Smith, or that kind of thing. I think it's It's not like don't talk about politics.
This isn't talking about candidates. It's saying representing personal political views as those of the district.
Right.
What's a personal political view? Do you think that discussions of certain topics are political? What are those categories?
I think it's more like as representations of the district.
Right, but I am trying to say it's so vague that I think that it's...
So I think an example, and obviously there are employees who are authorized, like Kathleen, to go testify before the legislature if we have a position on an issue. But if a teacher goes and testifies and says, I oppose school vouchers, or I support school vouchers, or I oppose the divisive concepts law, they are free to do that. They can't go in and say, on behalf of the Concord School District, I am opposing this bill or supporting this bill. It's really about taking a position that for the district.
Right, but this is, the policy is applying to what teachers do and say in the classroom, correct? Because it is saying...
As they represent the district.
Correct. So, and it is saying that they're representing their personal political views if they represent those as representing the district, which they will be doing while teaching as employees.
They could say that in a debate on current events that they think, let's stick with divisive concepts, is a bad law because it could hinder these types of discussions as their personal opinion. They couldn't say the district believes that this is a bad law.
Employed and then currently working while teaching their class, so that's representing the district's views. And when they say that they believe that, that's a political point of view. And so that's why I'm just saying that the wording of the policy makes me uneasy.
Well, then...
I apologize. I know it's hard because I'm not trying to derail the meeting.
I see what she's saying.
But Kate, if you look at the policy, if you look at the third paragraph down, they really define what they're talking about in terms of the partisan political activities. I think that really would help you. It means that, they can't be posting circulars, vote for, Mr. Smith or whatever, or soliciting funds, which is another political activity. So I think it defines it pretty well as to what the committee was thinking about when they brought this forward.
But the second paragraph, the policy itself, the first bullet point 1 says representing personal political views as those of the district. Employees should always take adequate precautions to distinguish between their personal political views and those of the district. It is implying, again, that the political views are what's being...
As those of the district, I think that, that's the difference. I think a teacher can engage in a debate with their students and say, my personal opinion is, and that's different
while
than...
teaching, while on the clock, and have it not be distinguished as that of the district while they're being...
I mean...
In fact, they're kind of saying it's not the district's if they say it's my personal.
I mean, I do think we all know that given what the legislature did last year, there could be complaints to the Department of Education against some teachers, and that's for doing that, and that's unfortunate. But I think the intent of this policy is to make clear that that we still encourage them to engage in discussions on current events, and just that this is the line the law draws about what they have to do.
Yeah. For me, unfortunately, saying employees will not advocate their personal political views,
As those of the district.
It just says employees will not advocate their personal political views or engage in political activities as defined in this policy when speaking pursuant to the employee's official duties during hours of official employment.
Right, meaning pursuant to their, so I'm speaking to you now as your teacher, and this is what I think, as opposed to this is my personal opinion. To me, that's how I understand pursuant to the employee's official duties. So I'm not teaching you that being a Democrat is right. I'm saying, as a person, this is what I think. So let's talk about, we learn both sides. So I can't say, me as this is what I'm teaching you in class. I'm teaching you to be this way or believe in this. You have to be neutral and separate the personal part from representing the district, that's all. I don't feel that it's hindering what you say. It's who you attribute it to.
You couldn't, under this policy, give a test and say only an answer that agrees with my political view is correct, because then you would be using district resources to
push your agenda.
Push your agenda on students.
I just personally believe that this policy may end up being misused, but like I was saying, out of trust that it won't, because I do trust my community, I will just
I can see why you say it would be murky. I can see that.
Yeah, it does seem as though it could be.
It's that paragraph. That one paragraph doesn't seem to fit in with the second paragraph, and the third paragraph seem to contradict each other a little bit. But I know what you're saying.
Last year as well, there was a committee put together from like the high school as well that was reviewing this policy, and that was another that paragraph I do remember. It's a hard thing to phrase, just legal with all the legal references wise, and it's not black and white. Yeah.
Definitely not. All right, anyone else? All right then, so this is a policy that we need to have a vote on, so you can just do a group vote. So all those in favor of passing policy, district policy 435, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, one abstention. Thank you. It's good discussion. All right, Gina, once you've done.
Okay.
I know I talked too fast.
That's okay.
I should chat more and give you time to.
So the next policy up is the second reading of policy 621, which allows, sorry, I'm going to try, which allows or creates the opportunity, or the policy to create the opportunity for extending learning opportunities for our students. So that is up for a approval before the board as a second reading and approval. So I would, sorry, Bob? Okay, so.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we, rather than just considering this a second reading, that we vote to approve this policy tonight. I do feel strongly that supporting our students in finding other ways and places to learn makes much better rounded students, and I'm glad that we have something in place to do this. Are there any questions, or is there any discussion here? Okay, so all those in favor of approving District Policy 621, Extended Learning Opportunities for high school students, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that policy passes.
Okay, and policy 672, earning of high school credit. So this is, again, a second policy, second reading and approval of policy number 672, which has to do with awarding credits for people who are transferring in, and also for demonstrating mastery for credits towards high school graduation.
So if this is second reading, or are we?
At the second reading, we usually approve.
Oh, okay, that's
so,
fine.
Yeah.
First one wasn't that way. Does anyone have any questions on this policy? This is primarily pertinent to students transferring in and out. Okay, then is there a motion to accept policy 672?
Motion.
Moved by Brenda, seconded by Jonathan. All those in favor of approving District Policy 672, earning of high school credit, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. Okay, nicely done, Gina, thank you. Number 8 on the agenda, Ad Hoc Committee, our Equity Advisory Group. There's a committee meeting report. Who am I looking to for that? I see Jonathan.
Do you want to start with the committee meeting report?
No, go ahead. You can bring us up.
So for the interview process, we had a group meet last week talking about what the screening process was for the DEIJB position, which stands for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Justice, and Belonging, and kind of discussing what we are looking for in an applicant, as well as making sure that the process has continuity and each applicant will be asked the same questions. We also discussed kind of the delineation between the roles of Bow and Concord and how the role will look as they work in two different districts and as we work to build a position and office around this individual. The interviews will begin tomorrow, as Kathleen talked about, with about 5 people starting at 8:45 a.m. We'll be beginning the first round remotely, virtually, and then probably we'll have some finalists that we will see where it goes after that.
Anything to add?
Question.
Yes.
Is the intent to share equally with Bo? I mean, 50-50? Do we know yet?
We haven't finalized that yet. We have obviously have a greater need than Bo, so we haven't finalized that. Depending on what their days, it may be a 60-40 split. That's what we're looking at right now. I think it's a good way.
I'd encourage to get as much as you can.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good way for us to start. Start slow. They're going to need a lot of support. We know that. It's a very different position. They're very, there's positions like this in Manchester, Exeter, Oyster River just finished their hiring process, and Concord, and I think it will really will help us. The Equity Committee, our advisory committee, has been really supportive of this. And when our last committee meeting met to talk about next year, this person will be really helpful in facilitating our advisory meetings too. So, but you're right. And we're going to watch it, and I think Bo understands that at some point, and maybe next year, depends on the board. I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous here, but that we would go full time.
And another item to note, sorry, Kate, as well. This is currently going to be grant funded, but the board should also think about how we might want this role for long term and where then the funding would come from.
Excellent. Kate?
I know that it's my understanding that we're classifying this position as a central office and administrative sort of position, correct? Or am I incorrect in that?
Say that again, Kate.
That this coordinator position would be categorized as an administrative position? It would be out of central office, correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think that's important. I think the central office can give them the kind of support they need, but clearly the role will be in the buildings with our faculty and with our students. That's clearly where we want, and the advisory, which is made up of teachers and principal and community people. So I think that's an important aspect to it.
But would it be overseen through the central office?
Yeah, they would report. They would report to me.
Got it.
So I know it was a concern, the salary for that position, that it was on par with the other administrative salaries, and I just wanted to check in with you about that and make sure that it is comparable.
I believe it is.
Yeah. Okay. I just was checking in because I know that had been a concern that had been previously.
I heard that, but when they said it, they were looking at what we originally had as part-time, but it's not part-time anymore.
So it does match the other full-time salaries. Awesome. And then just my last question was, I was just hoping that maybe Michelle would also want to speak to it. I know we talk about the work that the district has done when working towards hiring a diverse staff, and that's especially something that's important to communicate, I think, to these applicants. They want to know that the district has been working towards this goal already and what we've put in place to help support them in their new role. So I just thought you might want to talk about the things that we have been doing in our hiring processes.
So I have reached out to several different people in the community as far as trying to reach a more diverse population. I did have communications with the city of Concord. I have joined the Diversity Workforce Coalition. It's actually, I have a meeting on Friday with them, and I've reached out to some of the individuals. I'm not going to be able to say his name correctly right now. I'm sorry. Clement.
Clement. Oh,
Clement.
he's wonderful. I love him.
Kabubu. And trying to reach a more diverse population and sharing our job postings, getting out. We did join a nationwide job posting application, an online application system that reaches out to more nationwide versus Ed Jobs, which just goes to New Hampshire population. So we are trying harder to get to a more diverse population.
Thank you so much for your work. Awesome.
Is there anything else that needs to be added, commented on, questions anywhere? Awesome, awesome. I love listening to the good work. Okay, number 9, agenda item, other business, New Hampshire School Board Association Delegate Assembly, Saturday, October 1st. I don't want to think about October and know right now. So, would this be you?
I guess. So, I don't know if people will remember this school board assembly used to be in January. They decided last year to hold it in October because they want to be able to get ahead of and abreast of the legislative bills that are being offered. Instead of trying to work behind the times, they want to be sort of get on top of things as the fall legislation gets started. So the assembly was moved from January, which it had been for many years, to October. Last year, I attended and Jonathan was the alternate. I don't know who wants to attend the assembly. I don't have any vested interest in necessarily being our assembly delegate. So I don't know if Jonathan would like to go as the primary delegate. I don't know if somebody else would like to go as the secondary. It's coming up. We need to appoint somebody to go. Registration is open, I believe, for the delegate and the secondary. So we need to have that sort of in our mind.
I'm more than happy to attend, but also happy for someone else to just let me know.
I was gonna say I would go for the experience of seeing the process and participating and.
So Jonathan, since you went last year as the alternative, do you want to go as the? I mean, I don't know.
Send the youth, yeah. Send the kids.
Don't stay out past
The voice of tomorrow.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, awesome.
So then, Jonathan, I will leave in your capable hands the bringing forward of the resolutions when they finally get them all together, and then y'all can have fun at the assembly.
Do we need to vote on that, or?
Well, if they're the only two people that want to attend, I'm not sure there's a vote.
We all say yay.
So
Resolutions-wise, the New Hampshire School Board Association is accepting resolutions right now as well, if anyone has any that they would like to submit.
All right, agenda item number 10, proposed calendars of meetings, and we have a couple of specific ones we need to put together for July.
Right, you have
so
your two calendars in front of you. You have
Yeah.
June and July, so in June you can, whoops.
Sorry, before that, can we just take a quick look at the enrollment report?
Sure can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, it's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda. It's in the book, but.
It's in her packet.
where's- Yeah.
You know, I've continued to be concerned about the Beaver Meadow class numbers throughout the year, and I'm not seeing them go down. And when I compare the Krista McAuliffe fourth grade numbers at 17 and 18 to the Beaver Meadow at 24 and 26, I would really encourage us to perhaps either bring on a couple of new teachers for Beaver Meadow third and fourth grade, which both have significantly higher numbers. You know, we're talking 9. We're talking about 9 extra kids in a classroom at Beaver Meadow in a fourth grade classroom versus a classroom at Krista McAuliffe. That's 2 reading groups. That's all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if we need to move people from buildings to fix that, or if we just need to bring on new staff. But I'd really be unhappy to see those numbers like that again next year.
Well, remember, your fourth grade's going to fifth, and you have an extra classroom teacher, so that number will immediately be reduced, but I
third grade will go to
right,
fourth, and
but
you'll
the
be in
third
the
grade
same
goes to
place.
fourth, and, I think I said to you during our budget deliberations that you had set aside contingency for superintendent, so when those numbers got to that point, you're absolutely right, Brenda, that we have to pay close attention to that.
Okay.
And we will. We're monitoring enrollment right now. Like, for instance, her numbers are way low on kindergarten.
Right.
So will that free up a teacher? Do you know, I mean,
Right.
I haven't hired that teacher yet because of that. So, but once that happens, and I have, it's a little bit more solid, then I'll bring that back to you, probably
Is
July.
there any way to look at these enrollment numbers before school starts? So
Oh,
that
sure.
we can make some
Oh, sure.
switches?
I'll do that in August, no later than August.
All right.
So if we had to.
And that's all the schools too?
July will be too quick. I mean, your board meeting is July 5th. It's too quick, but the August meeting is definitely the time when we'll have much more solid numbers.
But perhaps it's time for the instructional committee to take a look at our class size policies. Because, I mean, Beaver Meadow is, most of the classes, I think one looks like it's over, but I think.
It's 25.
Well, yeah, and there's one class that is 26. So technically they're complying, but I think we've all expressed some discomfort with that big a class.
So in looking at our calendar of meetings, we have an instructional committee in June. Does that have a set agenda already? No.
That's the 13th.
There's an instructional committee next Monday.
Is that something that we could discuss at that?
Absolutely. We haven't set, Brenda and I haven't sat to talk about I have a couple of items, but nothing that's pressing.
Then we actually kind of get, sometimes August, now we're scrambling to find a teacher.
Right.
Or someone's told, oh, you're not teaching third grade this year, you're teaching fifth grade. It'd be nice to have a handle on those. Yeah, that would be good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. No, I was just.
I keep adding things.
Thank you.
All right, so now moving along to
So,
calendar.
so anyway, you have, the Charter Commission is going to meet tomorrow night. They have received feedback from the Attorney General's office relative to the charter and with recommendations. And so I was contacted by them, and I will be present tomorrow night. I was hoping that maybe Mr. Cotton would join me. I don't think Jim can make it, so.
No, he can't. He actually sent an email at 5 o'clock.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
I'll be happy.
Would you go? I'll go too. The chair asked us to be present, so. And then you have City and Community Relations, and Jonathan and I are working on an agenda for that for Wednesday, but really in preparation for Farmers Market, for market days, and we also, I want to alert you to the joint meeting that we have with City Council and our school board committee on the 24th. That's a early morning meeting at 7:30. We'd like to do it here and in person, and we'll have coffee to keep everybody awake.
What time are we starting the business session?
7:30.
When we schedule these, just, school doesn't start till 7:30, so for those of us who.
June 24th.
Oh, well, camp still starts.
All right, I guess they've done that 7:30.
Yeah, forever,
They've
yeah.
always, so I kind of stuck to it, but yeah, I hear you, Pam. Be a little bit more sensitive to that. The following week is the week of the 20th. Now, we have, the last day of school for the kids is on the 17th. That'll be a full day, graduation. Janita, we'll be celebrating Janita when she walks across the stage to get her diploma. And, you all have your gowns for the graduation if you're able to be there on Saturday at, I think, 10 o'clock, right? 10 o'clock? The following week, you have Executive Committee on Monday, Communication and Policy on the 22nd. We decided to play a little catch-up with policy, so we're going to meet 2 Wednesdays in a row on the 22nd and the 29th. But I wanted you to save the 23rd. for a public hearing. I think that it's been a while since we've had an opportunity to hear from our constituents across the city around the project. So I was going to ask for you tonight to consider a public hearing on the 23rd, and to have it at Runlet, because I always think it's, and Barb, you said that to me, it's always important to get the families into the building so that at least they can see it. For those who haven't had a chance, we've had a couple of, occasions where we have had walkthroughs, but this would give us another chance. So I mentioned it to Jim too, and he thought it would be really good to have a public hearing on the 23rd.
I agree. The hard part, we sit here and work, and do all these things, and what we
Right.
do isn't always immediately accessible or easy for everyone.
Right.
Not everyone gets online and looks at it. So when you have a public that feels that they're not listened to,
Yep.
the more opportunities we can give people to speak, the better. So
I
think
agree,
it's a
and
good
we've
idea.
had good representation on some of our meetings, and so it's been pretty good. We've had, last one we had in person over at Runlet, and then we followed it up with a Zoom meeting. We'd like to do an in-person on the 23rd at 6 o'clock at Runlet.
And are you envisioning voting on the building aid application that night, or?
Well, we're going to know better on the 15th where we stand with the capital facilities on the 15th of June. So we're going to have discussion there. So let's see what happens in that meeting. But we're waiting, we should get the results of the numbers, the costs, estimated cost will come in on the 13th. So it's close.
The only problem with Runlet is that it can't be aired live, so people can't watch it from home, and that in something like this, I actually think, and the space is not good for people to hear.
Right.
Like, it's really hard to hear in there. I mean, I appreciate doing it on site, but I think, if we want the public to be able to participate in a variety of formats and to be able to hear well, then we should do it here or at the high school.
Yeah, I was going to say, or the new activity room.
Well, we don't have the capability to air it on TV.
Oh, I see.
We don't have a portable system that, can move around. So, but I don't disagree with that. I mean, we can
So
move
what are
that.
our on-TV options?
Well, it's
The high school.
here or the
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah.
Or the auditorium.
Well, then, I would say
Can
Macaulay.
I come out to I could talk just real quick about TV options?
Yeah.
Real quick?
Yes, that would be great. So as much as we miss Chris.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this.
As much as we miss Chris, it's nice to have the CCTV hero himself here at the meeting. Yes, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
All right, well, we'll see if my board fires me for this.
No, they won't.
I think just important to clarify a couple things. It is difficult to live stream from other school. Sorry, speaking into the mic now. It is tough to. There we go. It's tough at Runlet or any of these other schools because we've worked with Pam McLeod before. Just getting live streaming working at the high school sometimes with all the firewalls, it's very difficult. Unless we wanted to just stream from data on someone's cell phone, which you could do. The other thing is if we're talking June 23rd, right? That's immediately a scheduling conflict for Concord TV. If we're helping with an on location, even in the auditorium, that's the first day of market days, I believe. And
Which is not a good day for
one of our
public
staff
hearing.
is
How
already
about a
on
week later?
vacation
Can we do-
that day.
Can we
So
do the 30th?
just a heads up with that.
The 27th.
But if you were thinking
Or
about
Monday the
doing,
27th?
at least at the Concord High School auditorium, we have live streaming ready to go. So if you were able to find a different day and you want to do off-site, we could do a live stream from the auditorium or anywhere at the high school. So the gym,
Yeah.
somewhere like that. The gym also has a new sound system, so you could potentially do that as well.
Well,
Okay.
if the purpose is to have people come to run, let
Well, no, but she was bringing up the live stream piece, so now we
Right.
have a balance. I
If
think
you,
it would
if
be
you
good.
wanted a live stream at Runlet, we could make it happen, but it would take a lot of coordinating, and we're pretty stretched thin as is. So.
Well,
What I'd like to suggest is that maybe if we're going to start at 6, that we could start at 5 or 5:15 to have a brief tour of Runlet for people who want to see Runlet.
That's what we did
And
one
then
time
we
before.
reconvene either here or at the high school. And I would suggest that maybe we try to do it on the 27th if there's a conflict.
We
I forgot
expect
about
people
market
to
days.
meet at Rundlet and then travel
gonna be
to another
around.
location and then travel back?
Or just to,
People who aren't familiar with Rundle.
right.
The 27th doesn't work for the superintendent.
Okay.
I'm at the conference, the superintendent's conference, but I'm back for the policy committee on the 29th, so I could do the 30th, which is a Thursday. We've done meetings on Thursday.
That's fine, although it's awful tight to July 1st.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, the application's gonna be
Yeah.
pretty much,
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's
it'll have footnotes as far
What
as.
about, what
things,
about
but-
Tuesday, the 21st? So it's ahead of market days, so it alleviates the CCTV issues, because they're down there. It's just a.
I support that.
That actually
Same
looks
different day.
good. That actually looks good.
Okay.
Want to switch it then to the 21st? All right. And where?
Well,
I don't,
Yeah,
I guess I don't see why we would do it at, why would we do it at Rundle, I mean, at the high school?
that was so live streaming could happen.
Right.
If
but
we
we're gonna
needed-
do that,
if
well,
we
let's
needed
just
the
do it here.
space.
Right, oh, if we needed space.
Yeah, just because it's bigger.
I don't think.
But I
Although we
think,
could probably just do it here, that's true too.
yeah.
You want to just
Yeah,
do it here?
Yeah.
All right. Now, to address your issue, I think we should do some more visitations. So let's, Matt and I and
21st doesn't
Paulette,
work for
Paulette's
Concord
here.
TV?
We'll,
No, we're gonna do it first. It's not great unless you wanna do it here.
We will do it.
we're going to do it here.
And staff.
Scheduling is not easy, but as you know, and this time of year is particularly difficult, but the 21st, 6 o'clock here, and we'll, because we want to get it posted and advertised. And then I will work with Paulette and Matt and the team here to come up with some other days to tour Runlet. Because I think that's important that they see the school.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so sorry, 6 in the evening?
Yes.
In the evening, 21st.
6 in the morning.
Well, I was asking because there's nothing on the 24th that we're moving, like, there's no 6 PM on the 24th that we're moving from. Is that what the date we're moving it from, or no?
It's a Friday
The
night.
23rd, we're moving it from the 23rd.
It's not on this printout?
No, we're
Okay,
adding it.
I apologize.
Now, just to throw one more little wrench in the works, is there a reason we can't do it after the executive committee meeting on the 20th? And then it's a normal school board night?
That's easier.
Yeah, it would. We could do it on the 20th after the school, executive committee, which is only usually a half hour.
That's,
Oh, it is the.
It's a federal holiday.
Is it on the day?
Yeah, we should do that.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I think
Okay.
21st
On the
sounds
20th?
great.
All right, the 21st.
21st sounds amazing.
Juneteenth.
What's wrong with you?
June, yeah,
On the
96,
20th?
because it's a
Is
Sunday,
recognized
so.
on the 20th?
Yeah, we could.
Oh.
June 19th.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm going to move forward with the 21st, 6
Yes.
o'clock here to a public hearing so that you can again hear from your community, okay? You
Sometimes you
good?
have to take 50 steps to move.
I know, but, you know, anyway.
No, that's good, all right, let's keep
Just,
going then.
I'll keep going. The
Yep.
24th, don't forget, we have a joint meeting with the city council. The fall, and farmer's market, John, we have to kind of tighten that up, but we'll work on that, right? We do have you scheduled for the 25th.
Yeah.
Okay, to have a table. The week of the 26th, the 27th, the only meeting that week is on Wednesday at 5:30 on the 29th, another policy meeting. It's not on your calendars, so please write it in, policy meeting, 5:30 on the 29th. Somehow I missed that.
And we will defer until after capital facilities whether we're going to
I think so. I think
consider the building aid application on the 21st or at a special meeting after that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
that's critical that you have that done
Well,
in-
that's why
Yeah.
not having
I mean,
a
part of the
time-
application
a
will be
backup
that
time on the
information.
calendar.
And July, again, time for vacations is really difficult to schedule, but you have a school board meeting on the 5th, you have another capital facilities meeting on the 6th, I think that will help us wrap everything up, farmer's market that week. You've been kind to consider some weeks in July so that the staff here can take some vacation time. They haven't taken a lot of vacation time, including yours truly. And so the week of the 11th, I'll be away, but you're certainly more than welcome. I know that Jim likes to have a meeting with you to discuss my annual review, which you do in this time So, and I have those documents for you to do. Following week, Executive Committee, again, policy, farmers market on Saturday, and it's a pretty quiet month.
Where are we going to put the special meeting? The special meeting on safety.
That's right.
Hold on, I have that. I
know,
did,
in my head,
I did,
we're
I
missing
did
one.
put it in. I did. I just put safety meeting. I actually didn't put a date in.
Should we do after executive committee
Yeah,
on the
that was mine.
18th?
18th?
I think that works.
If we're talking security, physical security, but I know Pam has been working on the audit of our cyber security. Is that something we could discuss at the same meeting potentially?
Will it be done? I'm not sure. It'll
Okay.
be done.
If it is, we'll do it.
If it's done, we'll bring it. If
Okay.
it's not, but she is working on it. Cybersecurity has become huge, as you know, and we have now moved to multiple authentication for everyone. You're
We're next.
You're next. The teachers have all been informed. We're ordering what they need, if they need a key fob, or they've just put the app right on your phone, which is the easiest. But some don't want to use their personal phones, and I get that. So, but we're working through staff right now. But you will be getting the little lesson on it next.
Oh, I'm sorry, you go on.
Sorry.
And then,
I just trying to clarify, so July 18th, the safety, is that going to be a public meeting, or is that a 91A?
That's going to be under
Sorry.
91A.
Okay, that's why I wanted
Thank
to-
you, Gina. Yes, because of the information that we will share with you.
I think at some point, we should either put on and executive committee, we can talk about it, put it on the public, so that the public has an idea of what it is that we're doing, how we're responding, the potential for additional funding, all of that stuff, I think, needs to be at some point discussed in public.
Once you do the 18th meeting, we'll then be ready to meet with the public to
Okay.
let,
I just wanna make
especially as
sure
we
that
get
there's
closer
a-
to school, people want to know what all of the
Exactly.
protocols you have in
Yep.
place. So
Yep,
yes,
yep,
I
yep.
think it's great we do that.
Kate?
They're not coming here on the 14th.
Yeah. So we won't be ready for the cyber,
Okay.
but perhaps later,
Yep.
later on in maybe in August.
I apologize. It's really hard, actually, to self-advocate. I have ADHD, and it's really difficult for me to manage the schedule as it pertains to school board meetings. When we do things, we manually change things in this calendar. I definitely appreciate all the hard work that goes into all of the different ways we manage the schedule and communicate and work together to show up to these things. But when we think about accessibility, for me, I don't have the same problem making meetings at work. We use Outlook, and every meeting change and schedule just gets changed on my calendar kind of for me as we talk about these meetings. I can just click and change, and we don't have meeting invites for every meeting that happens, so I can't manage in a Google Calendar to do that. There's a lot of manual entry, which I understand isn't the end of the world for a lot of people, but if I don't tell you that it's really hindering my ability to do this, then I can't expect to find a bridge to that over that barrier. So I do find, yeah.
So let me address that directly,
Yeah.
because I also have ADHD.
Yeah.
I called Pam. Pam worked actually with my husband, who's a computer guru, to get it. It shows up on my phone now. So there's a way to do that. If you touch base with Pam, I'm sure she can help you figure out how to work it for your calendar.
And not every person that becomes a school board member will have their own personal smartphone as well. So yeah.
Right, but whether it's on your
Yeah.
computer or whether it's on whatever, she knows how to, I don't know how to do it. All I can tell you is it shows up now. So you may want to ask her so that it shows up on whatever it is that you use to keep track of.
But it's not every meeting or event. It's not. So it's not. It's also systemic. It is a process. It is unfortunately a coordination and process that I think we could get better at. I'm probably not the only person impacted by, and I am a part of a company where I experience that, accommodation or efficiency. So I just know that it's possible, and that's why I bring it up.
Right, and that's why I suggested reach out to Pam, and she can help you.
I think you're suggesting that as a group, as a district, we work at maybe looking at a different way of posting our meetings.
Yeah, because even if I follow the calendar that's on the district website, I don't end up here when I'm supposed to be all the time. So I've learned that I have to coordinate that and this and what's in my email and the things that do get sent as invites and then the things we talk about and change after. And I understand that is how the world works and you can't always expect for accommodations to be made, but it's not, yeah.
So something I've missed meetings and had no idea they were occurring, and I'm the only one not there, or I'm chairing the meeting that I'm not at. So I enlisted the support of Gina and Jim, and I get a text message, hey, are you coming? Oh my God, I forgot. And so then I come. So that's just, so now the world knows, Gina's the only reason I'm ever on time. But no, it's good to bring this up, because we all function quite differently, and we all want to make sure that we're here when we're supposed to be. But yeah.
I will take care of that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's also personal responsibility. That's the part of the communication. But I felt doing it publicly as well is good, because it shouldn't be as scary to say what you need. And
absolutely.
I think you're not alone in that some weeks I have something on my schedule for 3 different times and 3 different days, and that the superintendent's weekly letter said one thing and the district calendar says another.
And trying to coordinate childcare and work at the same time.
Yes.
You're like, okay, I apologize.
No, that's good. I had something to bring up in terms of, it could be capital facilities as well as city and, community, school board and city. So in the process of the middle school project and all of that's coming up, we need to take a really good hard look at our playing fields and our recreational areas that are used by our students. And I know I grew up here. It's been a city school thing forever. But I think in terms of moving forward with a lot of our projects, this is an important piece of information. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, we have a couple of capital facilities meetings. I think it would be good to get a real handle on, from Parks and Rec, on who does what where, and where our students actually play their games, and who manages or runs the fields that they use, and should we endeavor to make a change. So it's, yeah.
On that point, I was actually raised at the city council meeting this past week from their side.
Yes, right.
So I think that's an excellent thing for us to talk about with them when we meet on the 24th.
Okay, awesome. That was my question. Okay. Is that everything for calendar?
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay, at this time, we will entertain public comment. So this is an exciting part of our meeting tonight. It's always good to hear what people have to say. I will remind everybody who's speaking, put your name, make sure you put your name on, sign your name on the piece of paper that's on the desk. Introduce yourself before you speak. And we like to keep like a 5-minute sort of minimum. If everyone took 20 minutes.
Maximum.
Maximum, yeah. 5-minute minimum. We want 30 minutes per person, Yeah, so, and make sure you speak into the microphone well. Oh, that's nice. You might not hear it loud here, but the people at home can only hear you if you're really talking into the mic. The one other piece of advice I will give you is, if you have a speech prepared and the person before you said everything that you were going to say, what's best is to sit down and say, I agree with everything Frank just said. And if you have other things to add to it, that's fine. I will keep careful note of who's thinking what. And we really want to hear what you have to say. So I will leave it up to you to decide who goes first. Just make sure you sign in and introduce yourself, and we shall begin.
I'd be happy to sign in.
I have. Lots of lefties here tonight, I love it. Just said the same. We're like more than half lefties.
Interesting. Nice. Well, it's very lucky for me right now.
Yes, it is.
Hi, my name is Nicole Fox, and I'm speaking on behalf of Rebuild It Runlet, a group of district families and other Concord residents who are very engaged on the topic of replacing Runlet Middle School. We've come together in the last few weeks with the support of the Concord Green Space Coalition. We have a variety of concerns related to relocating the middle school to the Centerpoint site on Clinton Street, including safety, traffic, open space and habitat, community, equity, and costs. We're aware the district is preparing a school building aid grant application for the July 1st deadline. We do not wish to delay the middle school project, and we agree with the district that the existing school is beyond its useful life. And it's in the students' best interest to move forward. That said, we are asking the district and school board to stand by their statements made at the public meetings recently that a final site determination has not been made. We have reached out to the Department of Education to better understand the grant process. They confirmed the district's statement that the application is not site-specific. However, they told us that any deficiencies listed in the grant application to be corrected will be binding. And in order to not potentially lock out the use of the existing site, we are requesting that the district not include any references to site deficiencies in the grant application. We believe the full evaluation and comparison of the two sites has not been completed to a sufficient level to know conclusively whether one site is better than the other or not. Some of the evaluations we feel are necessary to make this assessment include a full review and accounting of the size of the existing parcel. We have previously provided information to the district and the board that the district may have been relying on some inaccurate tax record information regarding the existing site's acreage. We also feel that a safe routes to school evaluations for both sites need to be conducted, traffic studies, including speed and crash data, and costs, including those for additional infrastructure the city would have to maintain in perpetuity. We have provided the district and school board with responses to the existing site concerns that were raised at the public meeting in May, as well as other concerns noted related to safe routes to school. Concern one, I'm not going to go into all of the details that were in what I have already sent you. I'm just going to hit some highlights. Concern one was an inefficient and dangerous vehicular traffic patterns. The existing Runlet site has access to 4 separate city streets that could be utilized in its site design to improve traffic flow. The Centerpoint site will be located on an already congested intersection on a state highway that has experienced 14 crashes in the last 4 years. Concern two is that the site doesn't meet the minimum size requirements for middle school. As noted earlier, we have provided documentation to the district that the actual size of the existing parcel is likely to be 30.6 acres and not the 21.2 acres as reflected in those tax records. This would leave more than 19 acres for the middle school, not the 11 acres previously thought, and even after excluding the 3 acres of wetlands on site, the available land exceeds the minimum size by more than 50%. Concern three is site development limited by the location of the existing school, wetlands, and Abbott Downing School. The Concord School District has already successfully completed a similar project on the same parcel when Abbott Downing was built to replace the Conant School on site. And the long-term benefits of a walkable neighborhood school, we believe, vastly outweigh the temporary challenges during construction, which we fully acknowledge there will be. Concern four is traffic. The traffic volume on Clinton Street is more than twice that of South Street. Moving the middle school to Clinton Street would only further increase the traffic on this busy corridor, and no traffic studies have been completed to identify the impacts and additional infrastructure that would be needed. Concern five is site access. The traffic flow challenges at the existing middle school could be improved if the school were rebuilt closer to Conant Drive and utilized the multiple street access points already existing at this location. The Centerpoint site would only have access off of Clinton Street, which already experiences congestion. And concern six is safe routes to school. The characteristics of the streets in the South End are far safer for children than Clinton Street. The evaluations of the existing Runlet site that the district has already had completed are outdated. They were from between the years 2008 and 2013. So some actually predate Abbott Downing School. And no evaluation of the Clinton Street site has been conducted yet. It's obvious that the traffic speeds are higher on Clinton Street than on South Street, which is inherently much more dangerous for vulnerable users like pedestrians and particularly children. In addition, the school would be much less accessible to students, being located a half mile further away from nearly every student. And while a half mile in a car is not particularly, it's not a particularly high barrier, it is a pretty significant barrier for pedestrians. Beyond these issues, we have a few more representatives who are going to speak regarding some other concerns related to relocating the middle school. I thank you for your time and consideration of our request to exclude all site deficiencies from the grant application.
Thank you, Nicole. That was excellent. Thank you. Just 23 seconds over. Well done.
I tried.
I was watching.
Good evening, members of the school board and superintendent. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak, and thank you for your service to Concord. And I got to tell you, this is a lot more welcoming experience than being at the city budget hearing last week. And I thank you for that. It's
Tell
important.
me your name.
Meredith Cooley. I was getting that point. Thank you, Meredith Cooley. My name is Meredith Cooley. I have 2 elementary students here in the public school system. And they will be, at least I'm sure one will be at Runlet during the rebuild. I'm here representing the Concord Green Space Coalition. We are a grassroots, all-volunteer community group working to protect, promote, and improve access to green space in Concord. An effort we feel is incredibly important for the future of Concord's children. A group of residents reached out to the coalition in May with concerns about the middle school location, nervous that the district was moving fast towards the Center Point relocation plan. They felt urgency to inform others about their concerns with the proposed plan and implications for the existing green space in that location, among other things. We reviewed their arguments, consulted local experts, and decided to empower them with the tools to advocate and organize around a better solution, and we launched the Rebuild at Runlet initiative. Dozens of residents were planning to come tonight, but we wanted to be respectful of your time and were respectfully informed that the rebuild was not on the agenda tonight, so instead we organized a small group to speak today. To be very clear, our intention is not to oppose the rebuild in any way or to slow down the district from obtaining grant funding. As Nicole said, we are here to urge the district to submit the application for the school building aid grant without listing any existing site deficiencies. Ultimately, we request that the district rebuild the middle school at the current location. The concerns are many, and I'll let others dive into the details like Nicole just did. But overall, we are concerned about cost to taxpayers. We've successfully rebuilt schools on site. We've come in under budget and on time. Why not work off of that successful track record? Increased traffic and congestion on Clinton Street and intersecting streets, child safety related to placing children on a busy commuting corridor, losing the walkability, bikeability of the existing location, and the implications related to physical and mental health and equity of access to school, opening Concord up to suburban sprawl at the Center Point site, and importantly, irreparably destroying green space that supports the last north-south wildlife corridor in Concord. We have received an overwhelming response from the community with almost 300 petition signatures that include comments and concerns. That means almost 300 residents have entrusted their concerns to the coalition, and I take that responsibility very seriously, and sharing their voices and concerns is what we are about. I'd like to read a few of the comments now, if I have time. I just picked some of the shorter ones just to share from Ward 7. Born and raised on South Street, went to Conant Parker, RJHS, and CHS grad. Keep the middle school in the middle, where it is, and rebuild if necessary. Love the current location of the middle school and value the land and wildlife on Clinton. That's from Ward 8. From Ward from Ward 5, I think preserving access and walkability for students is incredibly important. Rebuild Runlet where it is. Ward 3, I chose to live in Concord because it was a small, quiet, safe town. My quality of life is being destroyed. I understand there is a housing shortage, but redevelop existing lots. Stop tearing down all the woods and green space in Concord to create low-income housing. They are destroying our town. Again, I'm sharing voices. Ward 7, we don't need a middle school on Clinton Street, is a way too dangerous for student travel. Ward 5, building on the present site is the obvious answer. The city already owns the land, promotes walkability. The proposed site on Clinton Street will add to traffic, poses safety issues, and destroys valuable habitat. Ward 5, keep communities walkable, promote healthy habits and a cleaner environment. Ward 2, we, the city of Concord, recently rebuilt elementary schools on their original grounds. They are now very workable and beautiful schools. Runlet, as we know it, needs to be replaced, rebuilt. I realize we only have one middle school, so housing students during construction will be difficult, but not impossible. I support keeping Runlet Middle School in the same location. I support rebuild at Runlet for the safety and walkability of the old site. This is Ward 5. This is also a matter of equity for our students. Ward 6, preserve walkability, green space, and stay true to the master plan. Ward 10, property taxes are already too high for people on a fixed income. We can't keep spending recklessly and be able to keep our house. The property is now on it. The school is now on is the best place and should stay on that land. Clinton Street is busy all the time, and combine that with hospital traffic and it is accident waiting to happen. Ward 10, I'm a senior citizen who lived in Concord for 50 years. I live on a very fixed income and fear that I will lose my home because of the ever-rising property taxes. I completely agree with a new middle school is long overdue, but if it can be built on the present Runlet site for less money, then I'm in support of this. Ward 7, I live near Runlet, and I see the vibrancy of kids walking and biking to school. Runlet and Abbott Downing are the heart of the South End. Let's keep the middle school in town, not on a busy car-only corridor. Ward 1, huge proponent of rebuilding Runlet and saving as much open green space in Concord as possible. We aren't getting any more, and we need to conserve what remains. While I understand that rebuilding Runlet in place will be more challenging than just building net new, I think it's the right solution for Concord in the long term.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
That was good.
But I did my best, everybody who's watching on TV. So, and that's just a small sample, and I'm leaving this with you all so you can read through them.
It's nice to hear the different places that those comments are coming from, the different wards. It's not all one place.
And every ward is represented, I believe. Lastly, I just want to thank you for having another public hearing on June 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me. I've been to a few of these meetings, so I think I know everybody at the table in front of me. I just want to thank all of you for all the hard work that you've been putting in through the years. I know it's not been easy. And again, I also want to thank the whole audience here tonight. My name's Linda Mead, and I live in Ward 7. My husband and I have lived in New Hampshire for 36 years. We moved to Concord in 2017. We bought the house in 2014, but it took a little while to get it up to par. But anyways, I'm supportive of everything the people have said so far tonight, and I'm not going to belabor everything. I'm not going to go over everything. I agree with what they said. I just want to say that I've been a nurse practitioner for 30 years. And the biggest challenge for me in my work was working with children and adults who were overweight and obese. Okay? These are people, it's challenging for me, but it was frustrating and sad for them. So it was very hard, and we know from a study done in 2020 by the National Survey of Children's Health, part of HHS, it showed that children aged 10 through 17 years were reported as overweight or obese is now at 32.1% in this country. 1 out of 3. And the prevalence of childhood obesity has tripled since 1970. And obese children become obese adults with all the health-related, chronic, severe health-related problems. Diabetes, heart disease, you name it, right? Right down the line. And once you're obese, it's very, very hard. The stigma is awful. People live with it. And again, very, very hard to treat. And so from what, all the data that I looked at on your website, I went through all the data, which was great, especially the recent stuff. And on it, it talks about kids riding their bikes to school and the master plan that Concord has for vital communities, vibrant communities, right? We want walkability, we want access for everyone, safe streets, safe routes, and Clinton Street for a new school doesn't provide that. I think, I've driven down, going to work every day down that street from Bow, and I'm telling you, trying to get to work in the morning, people were speeding all the time. And I don't think, if I had a child in school, elementary school, middle school, I wouldn't want him walking or riding a bike on that street. And what's the goal? Don't we want people to be healthy? Don't we want to promote that? Don't we want to promote more exercise and health in this country? And I don't think this plan would do that. I think leaving the school where it is in a community with all these narrower streets where kids walk, and there's quite a few that walk to school. I see them because I ride my bike everywhere, and I see them walking, and I see some of the improvements that are happening in the city, right? But I think we need more intersections that are safer to cross for kids. I think we need, again, better sidewalks, which I think is happening. I'm starting to see it, but I think we need more. And I think the money that we would put into the infrastructure over on the Clinton Street should forget about it, divert it, put it into the city roads, bridges, and sidewalks to make them safe for all pedestrians of all ages. That's my hope, okay? And I think that would be that goal and that vision and that foresight would help everyone. People now and people in the future, for everyone. Okay, so that's it. Short and sweet. I cut it down. How's that?
Thank you, Linda. You were 1 minute
and
under.
I can leave this
So
for you
you're the winner
if you
right
want.
now.
I have references too for everything, but I'm not going to belabor it, so I'll leave that there. Okay? Thanks a lot. I gotta go because I'm riding home and it's getting dark.
Put your headlamp on.
Getting dark.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Reagan Bissonette, and I am very glad to be here this evening. Thank you all for your time. I love living in Concord. I have a kindergartner, and I'm very happy to have him in the public school system here in Concord. So glad to be able to talk a bit about this. So when I first heard about the proposed new site for the middle school, I actually thought it sounded like a good solution. It's not that much further from the current school. There was more space to build on. But once I better understood some of the implications of the walkability of students getting to that new location, as well as what appears to be the misunderstanding over the size of the current middle school site that you already heard about, I got very concerned about some of the equity issues related to this proposed new school site. So in particular, as you know, Runlet is surrounded by a number of homes and neighborhoods, so there are many ways for students to walk and ride and bike, scooter to school. Whereas this new location has very few homes nearby, very few neighborhoods nearby, which is going to result in the vast majority of students needing to either get to school by car or ride a bus. I actually, whenever I pick up my son from his after-school program on Fruit Street, if I go to get him early, it's really fantastic to see so many students walking up and down that road from the middle school with their friends to head home. You know, one day I saw one kid walking, one kid biking, another kid skateboarding, you know, all together. And then the other direction, the high schoolers are streaming down that street. So, you know, that gets a lot of traffic from students who are socializing and taking the time to get to and from school together. So why does walkability matter? I mean, there's a number of reasons why students being able to walk and transport themselves to school is important, but I'll touch on three. First, there's a tremendous amount of research that shows that walkability to schools improves traffic safety, it results in better air quality, enhanced personal safety, and better student academic performance. You know, in particular, there is a Safe Routes Partnerships and Change Lab Solutions report on the walkability to schools as it relates to diversity and equity in U.S. schools. And that report talks specifically about the fact that a truly integrated neighborhood with walkable schools could really help counter the wide gaps that we see in academic achievement between schools that are serving children from lower income families and schools in more affluent neighborhoods. You know, the second thing I'd like to bring up that was already touched on is that with childhood obesity at an all-time high, many health advocates are advocating for walkable schools. Children who can safely walk or ride to and from school can build up physical activity into their daily routine. And locating schools close enough to children's homes also means that those children can then get to the school grounds to play on the weekends or after school, as well as, you know, get to after school activities more easily. And then third, there's just tremendous community value in having schools located near homes, which creates the livable neighborhoods that I think so many of us enjoy here in Concord. So if we were able to rebuild at Runlet, we would help avoid that urban sprawl that would basically be encouraged by moving the middle school further away from existing neighborhoods. You know, and active travel is associated with greater community connections and social interactions. I mean, anecdotally, I can share that my family met far more people in our neighborhood in the first few weeks that we started walking our son to kindergarten than we did in the 5 years that we had been living in our neighborhood and driving him to pre-K program. So while the middle school does draw from students all over the city of Concord, I think it's really in all of our best interest to at least make sure that the middle school is built on a location that's going to enable the most students possible to walk and ride to and from school. So thank you very much for your consideration of rethinking rebuilding at Runlet.
Thank you, Reagan. 4:54. Can tell I'm a track coach, right? Timing everybody.
Who else is coming up?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Peter Hollenberg. I do appreciate all the work and everything that I've heard today, in particular the work that you want to do regarding safety. I mean, I can't imagine what is happening in some school districts right now, so I appreciate that. It was fun seeing some of my kids' old teachers and nurses retiring today as well, so Miss Barlow was a ferocious teacher to both my two kids, but they are excellent mathematicians right now. One's in college doing very well, so it's great. And Miss Moffett was a wonderful nurse to both of them. I've been a Concord resident for 28 years, most of those years spent in the South End, very near the schools, so both schools are very close to my heart. I understand that Runlet's been on the chopping block for a while now. You guys have tried to form partnerships with other organizations, and I can only appreciate the price tag associated with putting a new school together. And so I know it's not an easy task. When I did hear about the Centerpoint contract potential, that kind of got me a little concerned. So I you know, a big part is the walkability. We've heard a lot of people talk about that. Just last week, I was coming up on Allison Street, and I came up to South Street, and I saw these kids walking northbound, and I was at the crosswalk for about 2 minutes. It was really an insurmountable amount of time for me to sit there, but I saw all these kids walking in group as a you know, cluster, and I thought maybe I should take a video of this, you know, and then I thought to myself, that's probably not a good idea. So I started counting, and then I saw kids on the other side walking as well. So there was an awful lot of kids out and about. I can appreciate also pulling into this wonderful city of ours on Clinton Street and seeing a shiny new school on the right side or left side, and but as we can hear, just the infrastructure, the feasibility, the walkability would just be so difficult. My bad, the last school board meeting I went was in 2008. There wasn't cake and fruit over here, so I think I'll probably be coming a little more often. But it's when we were deciding on the elementary schools, and my kids were both going, both at Conant at the time, and both went through the rebuilding of Conant to Abbott Downing, and it felt like such an easy process. There was no disruption to their schooling at all, and to have the schools finished so quickly under budget is just, I think, something we should try to work on. You know, it feels like last century in 1999. I was actually a school teacher at Runlet, and I know that school had 1,300 kids at that time. I know that number is down to about 900 now. I think 1,300 was too much because we had to have a cluster of 8th graders go to the high school. And I was one of those teachers, and it felt fine. I think we managed through that. I think I was part of the summertime cluster, or the springtime, and we were able to go to Memorial Field and play, and what a treat for those kids. So I would just say that, and my whole 6th grade year was in a portable classroom, and I felt very special being in there. So I think we can make things happen like that. The idea now is to reduce, reuse, and recycle, and I really think that Runlet has a core structure we can work around. The gyms, the multi-purpose room, I think the cafeteria. I think there's we'll let the engineers and the architects figure that out, but I think there's enough room on the fields to kind of work around that. And I know the people on Springfield Street, those that abut the fields there, are probably unhappy about that. I believe there's 11 houses there. One was on sale last week. It's no longer on sale as of tonight. I don't know how. Half of those streets are really covered by trees, so I don't think there would be much disruption to them. So I would just, again, kind of support what everybody has been saying here and just kind of rebuild at Runlet. And I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Peter. You just ran a 4-minute mile. Nice job.
I know. I timed it earlier.
That was the satellite program at Concord High. I remember that. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Ted Wing. I'm a Concord resident. I'm here to speak to you about my experience as a community gardener out on Birch Street, which would be pretty much adjacent to the backside of the proposed new school. I have a daughter who's graduating, or who's finishing 8th grade, and I can't advocate soon enough and quick enough for changes in the middle school, top to bottom. It is horrendous. I have a 3rd grade child who will be at Runlet, and I can only hope that his experience that he will have at that school will be one that is enriching and dynamic for him. When we went to tour the high school, it was pretty awesome, and we're really excited for what that will be for my daughter. So fully supportive of a new school. I would strongly ask that you reconsider building Runlet at its current location. For the past 16 years, we have gardened at the Birch Street Community Gardens. My children have grown up there. It is what they know. We have had our child in a pack and play out of the garden, and that's been just a tremendous opportunity and experience for her. The garden provides calm, it provides quiet. It's a place of peace. It is a place where we have built community. I will say that from the conversations I've had with fellow gardeners out there, The potential to have a middle school on the backside there is just absolutely devastating. It's a place where we can grow organic food, we can eat healthy. We have an opportunity to really instill values in our children and kind of give them an opportunity to understand where and how food comes from and the amount of time, effort, and energy that goes into that. When Langley Parkway was finished back in whatever it was, 2006, the amount of increased traffic that we saw coming down Clinton Street, the amount of increased traffic that we saw coming down Birch Street was really unsafe. It was unsafe for our children, who we have a plot that is right on Birch Street, so cars whizzing down on that dirt road at 40 miles an hour. If you've driven on that road in the middle of summer, you know how big those potholes can get. We have people who are driving recklessly on the grass. We have called the police for help in slowing down traffic. It works sometimes, but it doesn't work all the time unless they're out there. As was mentioned, I think the green space is an incredible opportunity for a wildlife corridor. It's where we see deer, we see songbirds, we see birds of prey all the time. It is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, and one that we ask that you continue to prioritize. It's a special place. If you've been out to the community gardens, there are people who are out there taking photos. It's a place where they can come and they can get their time. If you haven't been out there in the middle of the summer, I would encourage you to come out, come see the dahlias that we grow in our garden plot. It is just a phenomenal place. We're also really concerned that if the school gets built there and the only access point out in and out of that school is on Clinton Street, that Birch Street will get paved. Would be simply a matter of time. There are not enough exit points and accessibility for that school not to have another way out. And whether that is pushing your way back into the ironworks, finding a way to push back that way, or finding an access point back over to Birch Street, it's just a matter of time. It is not something that we advocate for in terms of putting the school in that location. And I'd strongly ask you to reconsider rebuilding at Renlet. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come speak? I really want to thank you all for coming. I was talking to Kathleen earlier, and every other school board in the state sits before a city and a public vote, and we're tasked with making huge decisions, the 9 of us. And there are times when it might seem like we just sort of do whatever we want. What we want to do is what's right for the community, and of course, there's always differing opinions. We have, I would encourage you to come and listen to our Capitol's facility meeting discussions that we have. We don't have time for talking during those meetings, but if you can't hear on TV, just come sit during the committee meetings and listen and take notes and all. And please also share everything that you've said. I haven't checked my email in a couple of days, so she doesn't remind me, so I forget. But it's really, really super helpful. I hadn't even really pondered Birch Road. I've run 100 miles on that road through the gardens. So these are all things that are really important for us to consider. And please come to the public hearing. And that's a great place where you can come in numbers and really say what you want to say. But I appreciate it. I went to Runlet, and that was a long time ago. It was kind of a new school then. So anyway, so I just want to thank you all for coming. It's super helpful for us as a board. What we need to do now, I believe, actually, I'm going to give us like a 3-minute potty break. It gives you all time to get out of here, and then we can reconvene and head into.
Thank you for your time.
I was going to do that. Okay, I was just going to do it now while they were. Yeah, we're going to.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Could you email any of you want to comment? I could, because you posted them all. Can you email them to Concord info? That's where you read them. It's on the website.
Do you want the petition that
We do.
You're at the city hearing.
This is just for the minute.
Well, I can pinch you and make you.
Thank you.
Yeah, do it. Okay, we're back after our little break.
Kate's not back.
Oh, I take that back. We're back from our little break. So what we need to do now is, under 91A, Section 3 for non-public sessions, we will,
91A32.
all right. So 91A 3.2, non-public sessions. We will be doing, A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected has the right to a meeting and requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. And Section D, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are averse to those of the general community. So, do we have to vote on this?
Yeah, it's a roll call.
Okay, so we'll have a roll call vote on going into non-public.
Ms. Higgins.
Aye.
Mr. Cotton.
I don't think we have a motion or a second.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
You need a motion to go in.
So moved.
You need a second.
And,
Second.
all right. So look at you long enough. Moved by Mr. Weinberg, seconded by Pam. Now a roll call vote.
Ms. Higgins.
Aye.
Mr. Cotton. Aye. Ms. Hastings.
Aye.
Ms. Walsh.
Aye.
Mr. Weinberg.
Aye.
Ms. West.
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Great. All right then. Shoo-shoo now.